What is happening, Internet? Welcome back to the Nightwing 01 channel, and it finally happened after years of teasing, speculation, and naysaying. The Snyder Cut is official. Not only is it official, but it was screened about a week ago, I believe, is what the murmurings in the industry were. And when I heard that, I was kind of like, what? And then a few days ago, you had Jason Momoa hanging out with the trainer from BVS and Justice League. Not so much Aquaman, the Zack Snyder trainer guy. And some people are like, well, I mean, why would Aquaman be doing this? And then you got Ben Affleck over here. Instead of getting a Thor bod from, Endgame, he's been jacking up. And it's like, why is he jacking up? And then, of course, today, while I was sleeping, the Snyder Cut was officially announced during the Man of Steel, I believe, rewatch or watch party, whatever they call that, with Henry Cavill in attendance. So can we please stop saying that Henry Cavill and Zack Snyder are not still close, because he attended the showing for the Man of Steel anniversary. So there's no bad blood between those guys. There was a falling out with some Warner Brothers stuff, but it really had nothing to do with their vision for the DC Universe and things like that. So there's a lot going on right now. I'm probably not going to be able to disable the Streamlabs thing you saw, so if new people subscribe over on my other channel, you just have to deal with it, because I don't know how to turn it off right now. I got a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of questions people have been asking about. Hi, Amber.
Hi, I just had a question when me for Cyborg.
I'm going to get to Cyborg, because you Cyborg fans are in for a treat. Okay, so, anyway, I'm Nightwing 01, Batman guy, known throughout the internet as Batman guy. I've got my ear to the ground on anything Batman related, whether it be TV, movies, video games, comics, you name it. And for years, I had people telling me that the Snyder Cut was a pipe dream, and it would never happen. I kind of gave up hope last year when Snyder attended a convention and basically told people what had been leaked years ago, his 5-part movie plan, which, if you guys don't want to know this is going to contain heavy spoilers, because while Snyder did say today that some of his vision is going to change for the HBOMAX thing, for the most part, you're going to be getting Zack's vision, which is completely different than Snyder. That means, Whedon. That means you will get more Cyborg, more Batman, more Flash, more Superman, and you have yet to see Superman rise. There was this hashtag years ago, he has yet to rise. That was in reference to Superman. Along with Unite the Seven was very important to Justice League. Justice League was going to be a 3-part epic. It was not just going to be 2 movies. Originally, the plan was 3 movies. Justice League 1 and 2 were shot at the same time. And then Warner Brothers basically dissected parts of the movie and combined them for Whedon. And then Whedon came in and he did his Avengers thing. And, well, anything that you saw, like with the red skies, that was supposed to be Apocalypse. So, again, this is major spoilers based on the convention where Zack Snyder told all when he thought that the Snyder Cut was done. And, DC was never going to have a part of it. He sat down, he talked to people for about 30 minutes at a convention, and he charted his entire epic, which is just that. This was not going to be a DC shared universe. There were a lot of changes that were done that I'm still not okay with, mainly the death of the Robins, which would have affected the Batman movies going forward, even Ben Affleck's Arkham thing, which is part of the reason why Jeff Johns and Zack Snyder did not get along, had to involve Green Lanterns and Batman. The Batman movie would have been very difficult to do because DC apparently wanted to introduce Jason Todd. And you can't really do that when the only Robin to have existed in the Snyder universe was Dick Grayson, and he was killed by the Joker. So while Snyder incorporated a lot of elements of, DC lore, he did kill the sidekick characters and the legacies. He shot Jimmy Olsen, I believe at the beginning of BVS, and that was Jimmy Olsen. He killed Dick Grayson off-screen. There was never a plan to have Jason Todd. That was DC and Jeff John and Warner Brothers wanted that. Zack Snyder wanted to bring in Carrie Kelly. So, I mean, there was a lot of differences involved with where Zack wanted to make like a Lord of the Rings franchise, essentially, a saga, a Star Wars thing. He had it all planned out, which is something that Disney didn't have planned out with their Star Wars movies. Every little bit that people have nitpicked from Man of Steel, BVS, it all made sense if you look at it through that 5-year or 5-movie deal. It was all connected. There was going to be more Nightmare elements. There was going to be some Injustice elements. There was going to be Flashpoint. All of it was connected. Very brilliantly, actually. So, yeah. It's very, very interesting. I thought I could do arcade in this. It's been so long since I've done this. No, we don't want to play the story. It wasn't multiverse, was it? Single fight? I'll just do multiverse stuff. I'm going to get my butt kicked anyway, but at least we can get things going. So let's start at the beginning. You guys have seen Man of Steel, and you've seen BVS. So what was the difference? What was going to happen with Justice League? One of the big key differences is the tone was going to stay the same. So Warner Brothers, as you know, came in, and they're kind of like, yeah, we don't really like how things are going with that. And just so you guys know, I'm going to be playing mostly with... the opponents you will face here are much higher level than your highest qualified character. Oh my gosh. No. Is there any way I can play? I don't want to get my butt kicked talking too much. Oh, I don't... Is there a Batman character I can play as? I thought there was an arcade ladder. How in the world do I access arcade? There we go. We'll just go with this. Okay. So like I said, the tone. That wasn't going to change. That was the executives at Warner Brothers and Jeff Johns and all these other people wanted a lighter, fluffier, Avenger-ish movie. More color, more whatever. The tone from BVS was going to carry on, which a lot of people didn't like, but that's how Snyder does things, right? So that was going to be a continuation.
I've had enough of the game, Selena.
And the death of Superman was going to be more felt than it was in Justice League. So... that, of course, didn't happen. Bruce would have been traveling the world and actually working with Wonder Woman to bring about the Justice League based on something different that happened. The very beginning of the Justice League movie is supposed to be the massive battle that you saw in the past, right? The key difference is Wonder Woman is the one who discovers the ruins. So there was supposed to be like some Indiana Jones elements where we really got to see Diana as kind of that museum curator lady, right? Like more stuff for Wonder Woman that showed like she uncovers the history of this massive battle. So instead of Steppenwolf, Darkseid was the big bad that arrived, and the Amazons, the World of Man, all those other people had to fend off. It wasn't Steppenwolf. And there wasn't really like a massive apocalypse element. It was Darkseid and some of his parademons against the champions of the world, and he was eventually defeated. And the Mother Boxes had a much bigger role, but Wonder Woman finds out that Darkseid is prophesied to return to Earth. And with Superman gone, everybody's in big trouble. So, similar to Whedon's stuff, but you had, of course, Darkseid as the big bad. In the original vision of Justice League. So, the cool scene where you had Batman looking for Aquaman, which we saw was, very akin to Batman Begins. Batman traveling the Arctic and stuff like that on horseback, and more of that stuff. More of the funny banter between Wonderbat. That was all Zack, and most of that was cut. We didn't try to do some of it, but it just felt forced, and you could tell it was a reshoot. Most of the movie, if you look at it, how you can tell it's Snyder and not Whedon, it has to do with the characters are wearing darker colors. So when you see, like, Bruce Wayne in kind of like a suit, and there's colors to it, that's Whedon. When you see Bruce Wayne lounging about in black colors and very dark grays and stuff like that, that was all Snyder. So, there was that. And watching the Justice League movie again, I can easily point out the differences now, because the costumes were completely different.
I'm glad,
You can easily tell.
Begin.
Which is kind of interesting if you think about it. It's like, okay. So you clearly can see the two different directors' visions of that. So let's get into some other stuff. Cyborg, as you know, you saw his transformation in BVS, like through those, little movie things or whatever, the clips. What was going to happen in Justice League, you were going to get to see how he became Cyborg and how he was Victor Stone. So a lot of Cyborg fans were literally robbed all that rich material that we saw in the trailers, such as the awesome football game, Victor roaming the streets, having Wonder Woman talk to him more, all this kind of stuff. I don't think I'm going to be able to talk and play this. I'm just going to have to go into regular matches. It'd be even better. Is there a way I can get the computer to fight so I can just talk? Because I have a lot to go over. There's like a way for a computer to battle, isn't there? AI Battle Simulator. There we go. Customize. Either that or I can just have it run on the title screen. Yeah, you can fight Amber. Yeah, that'd be fine, because I can't... I won't be very good talking, honey. You can just plug in your controller and we'll do it. The controller's over there. Okay, so let's get back to Cyborg. It doesn't matter. You can play if you want to, and I can talk. It doesn't matter to me. But yeah, again, people, heavy spoilers. So I'm happy to hear that Zack and his wife are actually planning on changing their original vision, though, to fit like the whole HBOMAX thing. I think that's really good. And one of the big rumors about this being a miniseries actually comes from Zack Snyder's wife. She's the first person that said maybe a 4-hour movie might be pushing it, so a miniseries would be, better. And we could combine some of those elements of the other movies that we wanted to make. So that's where I got the idea of like a sprawling epic. And some other publications also ran with the idea of, what? You just pick somebody. Yeah. I don't know how to get you to play against the computer. So. Okay, you can do that. Just as long as I can talk, that's fine. Alright.
You tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Just pick like Batman and Superman characters. That's fine.
Batman.
Thank you, sweetie. Oh, probably a Batman costume.
I don't know how to pick the computer.
You don't know how to pick the computer player? It's just supposed to happen.
Batman.
Okay, it's not happening. Why is it not working now? Single player, there you go. After single fight, multiverse. There you go. So then you just pick Batman and or Superman. You'd be Superman.
Bizarro.
Oh, okay. Let me just pick the other person.
And we'll have you fight
Wonder Woman.
Or Darkseid.
Darkseid.
There you go.
Okay.
And then just have it continuously go. Okay, so where was I? I was talking about Cyborg? Or the
Fighters
fact that
approaching
the
Metropolis.
Snyders were talking about, like, their sprawling epic of
They were gonna
miniseries.
change their original vision.
Well, they have to change their original vision because they had that convention a couple years ago where they basically told all the Snyder fans that were intended, like, what the plan was, how everything was connected with the Nightmare Vision, and how they were borrowing elements from... They never said Injustice, but Superman was going to become very dark, but I'll eventually get to that. So let's continue with the original Justice League. Steppenwolf was actually fleeing from Apocalypse because he was trying to get out of like Darkseid's control, and he came to Earth to get the mother boxes. So that one scene that wasn't finished where you see Lex talking to what's his name? Steppenwolf. That one scene where you see Lex talking to this creepy alien, that's Zack's footage. So all the other stuff, I believe WB and Whedon were the ones that created Snyder, or the Whedon really generic looking, dumb, not scary Steppenwolf at all. So Yeah, I don't remember if it's like a BVS extra scene or even if it was Justice League itself, but you see Lex Luthor and Steppenwolf talking and the Mother Boxes are present. The Mother Boxes were going to have a much bigger role, and they would have a connection in Darkseid coming. And when he arrived, things were going to go crazy. But throughout the movie, Batman would be kind of plagued off and on with the whole nightmare vision again that he saw in BVS, although it would be more cryptic. Because what the, you just, whatever, Amber, retry, pick a different character, it doesn't matter. You just keep going while I talk.
I am going.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. So, how Snyder explained it was, Darkseid is like the big boss, and Steppenwolf is trying to get out from under him. Whereas in the movie that we saw, it looked like Steppenwolf was kind of like the man that came before ushering in a way for Darkseid to come to Earth. That's the thing I kind of saw when I was watching Justice League. I was like, okay, Steppenwolf is just kind of this nobody that's coming in. He's like a general of Darkseid. That couldn't be further than the truth in Snyder's version. There was like a power struggle. One wanted to get out from under Darkseid, and Darkseid just basically wanted to get rid of Steppenwolf, more or less. And he was kind of using Cyborg to, I believe, spy on him or something is what Snyder said. But back to Cyborg, because I'm going to go all over the place, because this is, you know, it's crazy. That's why, I mean, gameplay helps, but all the other stuff is like, whoa! There's just so much to go on. Because I really want to jump into, not our Justice League, but what Justice League Parts 2 and 3 were going to be, but you have to talk about what his Part 1 was going to be. Very Cyborg-centered, very Batman trying to bring together a group of metahumans after learning from Wonder Woman that something bad is happening. So, again, mirroring what happened with Whedon's cut, or whatever you want to call it, Whedon's story, but very different. Wonder Woman and Batman were going to be working together a lot more than what we saw. They kind of split up. And Wonder Woman was definitely going to be looking into Cyborg a lot more because she had more empathy for what happened to him, because he was this dude that was transformed into this. Cyborg, the way they cut his stuff together, he looked too robotic instead of human, you know? So with Snyder's version, since he had more time to flesh out Cyborg over 2 movies, is he was going to become, even though he was a metal man, he was going to be more like a flesh and blood character. And I think that's one of the hard things that was for Ray Fisher, because he wanted to keep playing Cyborg, but DC had kind of put Cyborg on pause after the reception of Justice League. They were like, it's not happening. And, you know, for years, I guess Ray was trying to tell fans that, you know, I appreciate Borg life, and I know you guys love me and all this other stuff, but I don't see Cyborg ever continuing again. Because, you know, you had to get through all of the dark stuff that happened to Cyborg, and that was being showcased from when he was a football player to when he was transformed into this metal man. All this crazy stuff with the Mother Box or Father Box taking him over. You know, the connection to Darkseid and Apocalypse. All this stuff was going to be shown over the course of several movies. And also, just to go back to BVS, there was a connection how Flash was able to get back in time. The Cosmic Treadmill is built by Cyborg and Batman, and even after Batman is killed by Superman, Cyborg is one of the last heroes alive in the Nightmare Universe. The Nightmare Universe was going to have so much more to it, which people actually were on the fence of the Nightmare Universe. They were like, I don't really understand what's going on. What's this tease? What's this bleak future? It wasn't a dream. That was the future of that Earth. It wasn't a multiverse. It was that DC Cinematic Universe's future. That's what was interesting. Superman became crazy after the death of Lois Lane, just like Injustice. But there's so much more to it than just that. It's insane, like... Basically, if you have seen Justice League Apocalypse War, they ripped elements from Snyder's vision and made it into an animated movie. A very sloppy version, mind you, but that more or less is what Snyder had planned for Justice League Part 2. So, I don't really know how it happens, but after Cyborg and, you know, he gets together with a team, they learn that the Mother Box has the potential of bringing Superman back to life. And Batman... he's not really the type of guy that, yes, he's trying to redeem himself, but he kind of became like this campy version of Affleck. Like, oh, we got to bring Superman back, you know, in Whedon's version. In Snyder's version, yes, he felt guilty that his actions led to the death of Superman, and yes, he wanted to put together a team that could safeguard the world if some type of threat happened. And he does get paranoid when Wonder Woman tells him that this massive enemy is coming, and he starts to put together this metahuman team with her. But at the same time, he's not too eager to Frankenstein Superman. He actually reaches out to some other metahumans that are on Earth, such as Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern. And that's where it gets interesting. Apparently, Armie Hammer was going to be Green Lantern. So if you guys are fans of Armie Hammer, I believe in Justice League Part 2 is when he was supposed to show up, or 3. Martian Manhunter was going to be introduced in Justice League. So when they said Unite the Seven, they were talking about Martian Manhunter. He was the surprise addition to the Justice League. And he was a character that you already saw in Justice League and Suicide Squad. He is the general that is hanging out with Amanda Waller. Isn't that crazy? So Martian Manhunter was going to play a role in Justice League and the Justice League movies going forward, which you were going to have his powers to deal with the Apocalypse invasion. You know? Again, this is spoilers, people. This is based on things Snyder has said at the convention he attended. Don't shoot the messenger. This is all spoilers, okay? It's probably going to change, though. It's probably going to change because Zack Snyder and his wife, even though they have a little twisted version of the DC Universe, they are fans of the characters, aside from legacies. They have the whole Dido approach. Killing Jimmy, killing Dick, killing Barbara, all those people. Dead. Gone. Jim Gordon originally, in Snyder's version, was dead. Whedon brought him into it. Because Batman says, how many heroes were left? He was referring to all the people he used to work with 20 years ago. Most of them were dead. That's how dark and twisted Snyder's vision was. Warner Brothers wanted to bring in Commissioner Gordon and a Robin so that they could do spin-off movies like Nightwing and Batman movies with Commissioner Gordon. You can't make a Batman movie without Commissioner Gordon. They wanted to do stuff with Batgirl. And Snyder and his wife were like, well, in our saga, most of Batman's allies are dead. That's part of the reason why he's so messed up. And Warner Brothers in DC is like, well, wait, what? No. You didn't. That's one of the main reasons why they could not mention the dead Robin in the movie, is because it would have caused a massive war if Affleck whispered like Dick or Richard or something. Like, people in the theater would have gone nuts, because that would mean no Jason Todd, no Red Hood movie, no Nightwing movie, you know? All these Bat characters were supposed to be dead. Like, Batman screwed up. You don't know how he screwed up. That was going to be explained in, narrative movies from the past. That's what made Ben Affleck's Batman so interesting. He was a Batman that was unhinged. And he's unhinged for a reason, because he doesn't have his family anymore. That was all going to be explained. Which is what people were... They were like, why is Batman doing all this stuff in BVS? It's like... It was one chapter in a saga. Everything was going to be charted out. So you would have to wait until the next movie to find out. I was even watching this the other day. I have no idea. If you combine the Air Force scene in Man of Steel to the Bruce Wayne driving scene, this is how talented Snyder is. And I'm not a big Snyder fan, okay? I don't like what he did with Grayson, but I can appreciate an artist when I see it. If you combine the fighter jet scene with Bruce racing through the city in his SUV and match those clips up and sync them up, they are happening at the same time. The fighter jets, you can see whiz past Bruce up above him as he's racing through the streets and dodging things, and all the explosions are happening. And then you pan up to the up scene. I saw this on Twitter. You have the jets attacking all the Kryptonian stuff that is attacking Earth. It's all happening at the same time. When Bruce Wayne's friend, the old guy inside of the Wayne Tower, is talking to Bruce, if you match up the clips where Zod and Superman are fighting in the building of the Wayne building at the same time, you can see Zod's lasers cut through the building. It was all pieced together magnificently. This is unheard of. I've never seen this kind of stuff in a film where it just is. It's a puzzle that all fits together. And DC panicked and just canceled everything.
Batman.
I mean, I just don't get it. I really don't. I mean, if people actually would have been patient
Cyborg.
and let the man piece it together, you would have seen a cinematic universe like you've never seen before. It would basically be like superhero Lord of the Rings. But anyway, let's get moving on to the parts with Aquaman. There was going to be a tussle between Batman and Aquaman because Aquaman really wants nothing to do with Batman or saving the world. There was going to be more of a connection to his Aquaman movie because his suit was going to show up in the Justice League movie. The costume that he got... Now, I can't understand what Zack was talking about at the panel, but it sounds like there was a time skip in the Justice League movie to a point where you meet Arthur in the beginning, and then you meet him after he becomes the King of Atlantis, and that's when he helps the Justice League, and then they changed everything. Or, like, there's different parts of the movie that happen at different times. But while this is all going on in our Justice League movie, there was going to be more of that oppressed future where Batman is killed by Superman. You would see kind of how it happened. They would show, like, kind of how Superman and Lois got engaged in Justice League, and they would also show in the future when Superman and Lois was gone and how that changed him. It's just so different. The cornfield scene. In the trailers, when it shows Henry Cavill standing there, he doesn't say, how was it? And then reply with, oh, death was itchy. That was all Whedon. What he tells her in the trailer is, I'll take that as a yes, because he sees her wearing the ring. There was going to be more of a romance aspect. The bathtub scene with Henry and Amy Adams, that was Snyder. That was not Whedon. That's the original, because he doesn't have that weird mustache thing. There's no CGI stash. That's actually part of Snyder's love story. So there was going to be more of a Lois and Clark thing. And at the end of Justice League, you were going to find out Lois was pregnant. Which, you know, would be Super Baby. But, let's go. Okay, so how does Superman come back? Eventually, things aren't going well when the team discovers... And I really don't remember how Flash goes into it. They were going to explain Flash. I don't remember Snyder talking too much about Flash. He mostly spent time at the con talking about Batman's arc, which is huge in the 5 movies. Superman, and Superman, like, he has yet to rise, all that other stuff. The Black Suit Superman, Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern, the Core, New Gods, all that stuff. Because at one point, remember, DC was making a New Gods movie. That was going to be connected to Justice League Part 3, I believe. Something like that. And basically, Justice League Part 3 was going to kind of be like that massive war where the metahumans and the Atlanteans and the Amazons and the Lanterns and all these other people fought Darkseid when he comes to Earth. That was supposed to be the 3rd movie. So they don't even really have a big fight with Darkseid. They have an oopsie moment in Justice League Part 2, which I'll get to, which is basically what you saw in Justice League Apocalypse. They ripped that from Snyder's script. It's almost page by page. And I know that Snyder came up with it because the convention that he did in 2018 where he talked about Batman having this brilliant idea to go to Apocalypse with the Justice League and take down Darkseid before he can come to Earth, and then Darkseid tricks the heroes, shuts off their teleporter, disables some other boxes, and wipes out pretty much the entire Justice League, captures Superman, and then we have the Injustice world, just like that. So it's Batman's fault. That's why I said in Snyder's vision, Batman was supposed to be like this a very pivotal figure that goes through so much character development. He's this arrogant, very lonely jerk in BVS, kind of murder bat. Justice League, he was going to have kind of a redemption arc where he opens himself up again after he was being hurt, where all his family was dead except for Alfred, and he creates a new family with the Justice League. He has hope in his life again. And then he gets overconfident in Justice League Part 2, sends a band of people over to Apocalypse to take down Darkseid, screws up, gets a bunch of people killed, permadeaths, gets his best friend Superman captured, which Superman and Batman were developing friendship in Snyder's thing. It's not really... Superman grabs him by the neck and says, "Tell me, do you bleed?" That's all Snyder. Or, that's all Whedon. Sorry. That's all Whedon. That wasn't Snyder. Snyder doesn't really repeat jokes like that from movie to movie. That was kind of like a meme moment. I'm surprised they didn't use the Martha meme in Justice League, to be honest, because they brought back the "Do you bleed" thing. You will, yeah. That didn't happen. The fight was completely different. And it wasn't really Superman that they were... It's confusing. But that scene, Superman is supposed to be wearing a black costume anyway. He comes back, he's dressed in black. And that was his costume for most of the movie, for Justice League Snyder's version. He's wearing the black suit. So more or less, same thing happens. It's not really Lazarus Pit type thing when Superman comes back. He's not like this crazed, I've been put in the Lazarus Pit. I think that was Whedon just trying to, give people evil Superman for a little bit, because there was a lot of evil Superman in the script. But that was connected to Justice League Part 2 and 3. He's not really evil in the first Justice League movie. He comes back, helps out the League, and here's some key differences. In the movie that you saw, the theatrical cut, Wonder Woman and Aquaman were not fighting alone. All those shots, Whedon was basically trying to show that the heroes were powerful, but he didn't really show, teamwork with them. If you look at the trailer shots that Snyder did when they're more darker, Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Cyborg are a team. Batman, Superman, and Flash are a team. It's like a team of 3, and then the other characters they can't show. Like Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern. They couldn't show those characters. Because they were supposed to be a big surprise. Right? But what I saw from the Justice League movie is there was a lot of solo shots. Like, Wonder Woman had her own movie, so she had a lot of solo fights against, a very powerful character, which, yeah, Wonder Woman's incredibly powerful, but Justice League was supposed to be a team movie. So they had, it felt kind of like a cartoon or like a toy commercial where they were just zooming in on that one character. Batman had a lot of solo stuff when he was supposed to be working with a team. He's sitting there with a rifle. I don't believe that's from Justice League 1. I believe that's actually footage from Justice League Part 2, because Snyder filmed Justice League 1 and 2 at the same time. And then Warner Brothers pick and chose what parts they wanted to use. So the Red Sky was supposed to be in one of the Justice League movies, just not the one you saw, because they go to Apocalypse in Justice League Part 2. And Batman is a little bit lighter, but he would have had character development to make him lighter, because they stopped Steppenwolf. They stopped the world from being terraformed. There's a lot of good that happens in Justice League. Superman and Lois are going to have a baby. Everything's going great. And then you go back to the future, where that future still is going on, so something happens, and Barry has to go back in time again in the Nightmare Realm. Now we get to Justice League 2. Justice League 2 starts out with the world happy that Superman is back. The Justice League is expanding. They're getting more heroes, more metahumans, more people are coming in. Oa has reached out to Earth. The Lanterns have a bigger presence. And then, Batman has this brilliant idea. In order to stop this prophecy from coming true with Darkseid, we've got Superman back. We've got Wonder Woman. Aquaman's stronger. Cyborg has this boom tube technology. I say we just go to Apocalypse and take the fight to Darkseid. And we have a vote. Justice League sits at their little table thing. They have a vote. They all decide to go to Apocalypse. Even though Martian Manhunter and Superman kind of have misgivings about it, which is the opposite of Justice League Apocalypse, whereas Superman, it was his brilliant idea to go and attack Darkseid, and the same thing happens. Darkseid does not kill all the heroes in Justice League Part 2, which would have come out in was it 2020 or 2019? I don't remember. It was one of those years. And things go very, very badly. There's a massive time skip. Batman survives, but he doesn't become a herald to Darkseid. He and Flash and Cyborg get away. Wonder Woman dies. Green Lantern dies. Martian Manhunter, I believe, dies. and Aquaman dies. So the only survivors of the Apocalypse invasion are Batman, who's not really the same. Cyborg is all messed up, and Flash is seriously affected because, you know, he basically watched all his friends die, which would have been character development for Flash, because Flash was just kind of this annoying character in Justice League. I'm sorry, he was. So Justice League Part 2 would have been your Injustice thing, because Superman has been on Apocalypse as a survivor, and he's been tortured by Darkseid for years. And he's been depowered, which is exactly like Justice League Apocalypse. That's why I'm saying they took Snyder's idea and they were probably like, you know what, it's never going to become a movie anyway. These are some really good ideas. Our new 52 movies suck. How can we make them better? We'll use Zack Snyder's script. There you go. So, Superman was being tortured for many, many years, and Darkseid has invaded Earth and terraformed it into Apocalypse. And actually, he changes the name to, like, Apocalypse 2 or something stupid. The new gods are introduced in the Justice League Part 2 as well, and they want nothing to do with Earth, because there was going to be, like, more of an explanation why they don't like Earthlings, but you would have had to see the New Gods movie, which was supposed to come out before Justice League Part 2, or something like that. If you're looking at the original DC Cinematic Universe that Zack, his wife, and Jeff Johns and some other people charted out. You know, the original.
Batman wins.
Somehow, Superman gets free and heads back to Earth, and Darkseid is ticked. So Darkseid basically kills Lois, he kills Martha, and Metropolis, just like in Injustice. Superman comes back to Earth, he sees the devastation, he sees Lois dead, you know, his child is gone, and he snaps. He kills Darkseid in like an OP thing that has never been done in cinematics for Superman. People were finally going to get to see Superman cut loose instead of living in a world like cardboard. And because of that snap, Batman thinks that everything's fine, even though the world has mostly been terraformed and it's, you know, destroyed. He's happy to see Superman back. Superman is not happy to see Batman and blames him for everything. And that leads you to the future where Superman is now Dictator Superman, and Batman and Superman are enemies. And then I believe the movie was supposed to end there with, like, Superman's eyes red, ready to execute Batman or something like that. And then you find out in Justice League Part 3, which is the really big movie where everything changes. How do I explain this? It starts mostly in the nightmare world, like told in flashbacks, and you meet other characters that are still alive on Earth that are the Resistance. Characters like Slade Wilson, who had his costume leaked, which basically he looks like a robot version of Deathstroke, and the only way you can tell that that suit is Deathstroke's is it has his eye and his mask, but it looks like kind of like robot armor that Batman had in BVS. Batman's BVS armor would have come back in Justice League Part 3 because he was going to need it to fight Superman. In the third movie, in flashbacks, he's come to the understanding that Superman can't be allowed to live anymore, so Batman plans on killing him by using the last remaining kryptonite that's on Earth, which is the kryptonite spear from BVS. So there, it would have all circled back to that. Because Batman needs to have a backup plan, he sends Barry back in time using the cosmic treadmill to try to warn the Justice League, not about Lois being the key, because that didn't work because the future still ended up being the future. Instead, he needs to warn himself not to go to Apocalypse. And he is successful. Although, when Barry goes back in time in the third movie to warn the current heroes about, right before they head to Apocalypse, Barry is destroyed by going back in time. So he was going to have like this grisly death. Like, because he didn't die in Justice League Part 2, so they killed him in Justice League Part 3. Because of the strain of time travel. It was going to be like, there's some type of risk for time travel, and it would echo back to kind of Crisis on Infinite Earths, where Barry Allen, like, disintegrated. So him going back to warn the Justice League not to go to Apocalypse kills future Barry Allen. But they get the message. Bruce then comes up with another plan and goes back to his original idea in the present, so the Nightmare World doesn't happen now. They go back to the present before the events of Justice League 2, where they go to Apocalypse. This is the third movie. I know, it's very confusing, but Zack had a plan, okay? Okay, so we're in the third movie. Back on Justice League 2 present, before the Darkseid invasion, the team starts gathering all these people to prepare for Darkseid's invasion on Earth, because they know what's going to happen. They get together other DC comic heroes and metahumans that don't necessarily have superhero names yet, but they have powers, because they were building up their universe. So you were going to see like this metahuman army led by Batman and Wonder Woman for, you know, powers that you've seen in comic books, and these characters would become who they are later. That was Zack's idea of how they were going to go and do this going forward. But there were some hitches in his plan because there's no one to replace Batman. Because you guys know what happens to Batman and Snyder's thing. It's pretty obvious. But without Dick Grayson, without Jason Todd, without Tim Drake, there's no one to replace Batman. So Batman is probably just gone. And that's one of the reasons why Flashpoint would have happened, because there's no Batman anymore. And all of Ben Affleck's movies that were going to release during this time, they would have all been flashback movies, starting with Arkham, and then the second movie was supposed to deal with the death of Robin, like in the past. The third movie, I don't know what it was going to be. But, yeah. So, everything was planned out. So, anyway, Batman, Wonder Woman, everybody puts together this team to deal with Darkseid when he comes. Batman is paranoid that Darkseid is going to get to Lois, so he puts Lois into the Batcave, or a satellite Batcave, where someplace that Darkseid's not going to be able to find her. There's no mother box technology, there's no technology there, she's safe, and she gives birth to Jonathan. And Superman is with her. So Batman, the Justice League, the New Gods, the Green Lantern Corps, the Atlanteans, the Amazons, and some other people are all fighting Darkseid. They get the upper hand, and they kill Darkseid. Or no, they don't kill him. They wound him seriously, like something out of the New 52 comics, where either Wonder Woman or Aquaman stabs him through the eye with a trident or a sword. Darkseid is wicked ticked. He finds where Superman is. He's so angry at Superman. I don't know why, because it's not like he really would have known the future events where he's killed. Or maybe Flash says something stupid that Superman killed him in another timeline. I don't know. Whatever reason, Darkseid wants Superman to suffer. And he wants that dark future to come about. So he finds where Lois is, teleports there, and is trying to kill her. Batman follows Darkseid through the boom tube, and right before Darkseid can use his Omega Sanctum to kill Lois and the baby, Batman jumps in front of the beams, apparently was crafting the Omega Bullet that he got from the New Gods to kill Darkseid, shoots Darkseid, and then the beams are kind of like in slow motion, and they were going to have this thing where they kind of played back Bruce's role in the series. He was going to die. There's nothing they could do. Superman can't save him. Lois can't save him. He believes that Lois is the key and that Superman is the hope of the world. And Batman's done a lot of horrible things. So this was his redemption for all the horrible things he did after losing his Bat family. So he jumps in front of Darkseid. He takes the blast. He dies. Superman picks up his corpse, like from the famous comic, and they name the baby Jonathan Bruce Kent. And then the movie ends with like this thing of hope where they have this massive funeral for Batman. He's a hero. He's a legend. Superman is the guardian of the Earth. The Justice League is there. The Green Lantern Corps is there. And then the story's over. Like, they could either do Flashpoint or they could do spin-off movies. They could do whatever they wanted. But that was the end of the 5-part movies. It was all cleverly orchestrated. Like from the very first movie, Man of Steel. It was all charted out.
Batman.
Now everything's going to change because Snyder let the surprise out of the bag in 2018, and he and his wife don't want people to see things go the same way, so while some of the plot points of their movie might still exist in the miniseries or the 2021 movie or whatever they're going to do, it's not going to play out the same way. Except the Nightmare stuff is going to continue because there's no point not using all those those costumes for future Flash, future Cyborg, future Batman, future Deathstroke, other heroes and all the different Superman Imperial troops and things like that. They had all this stuff. So they're not just going to throw that out. So you know that the Nightmare world is going to, play some part in this saga, which is, a miniseries or whatever. But they filmed 2 movies. So in a sense, it's very possible that they could do the finale. And Ben knows he's not going to get to do any more Batman anyway. I say they just go with his vision and let Batman die like that. I mean, it's not like you can have someone else become Batman. You could probably go the Terry McGinnis route and some rando become Batman like they did at the end of Christian Bale's movie. Anyone could be the Bat or live up to the legacy or something. But you really can't have it be a Robin because the Robins are all... There was only one and he's dead. There was never a Jason Todd, there was never a Tim Drake, there was going to be a Carrie Kelly, but that never happened. So, I don't know where they're going to go from here. I just know what the original was, and the more I kept reading about it, it was so interesting. And when I saw that panel that I believe they pulled off YouTube a couple years ago, because it was so... That's 2 years ago is when he started to really talk to executives about his idea, and that's also when DC was really starting their streaming service. He started to pitch the idea of Justice League on the DC app, and then HBOMAX started, coming out, and that was the perfect opportunity for them because they could really sell this miniseries. The reason why this thing is going to be so successful, though, is because in history this has never happened, where fandom has changed the course of Hollywood's mind. Hollywood is usually set in their ways, so that's why this is so massive a win, because it's never been done. Not only that, but this is like a brand new movie that is blockbuster quality that is going to debut on a streaming service. This is going to change how movies are made, not just in theaters, but also on streaming services. This will also change how the HBO Max Green Lantern movie or show is. It could have some connection to Snyder's verse now, It's insane. I don't know. My mind was blown years ago, and I've known all that stuff for years. But, I mean, I might have missed some stuff, like Batman being paranoid, making the gun that could kill Darkseid, but it's hard to go through all the stuff that Zack had, because it's kind of like a conspiracy board where there's different lines connected to different people. Cyborg, Flash, Martian Manhunter, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Lois Lane baby, Alfred, Deathstroke, Lex, Darkseid. It just sprawls all over the place, but they're all connected. That's the thing.
Your attitude's still intact.
And I think his next project was supposed to be Flashpoint after that, because Barry's best friend was Batman, and maybe Barry's not cool with the idea of Batman being dead, and he goes back in time and sets up Flashpoint. I don't know. Flashpoint was supposed to come after Justice League Part 3, originally. And the way that they were kind of doing the Justice League movies, it looked like Batman was a friend to the Flash. I don't know. Just kind of crazy.
Rethink your strategy.
Sounded like they were going to make Superman the new Batman? Really? Is that what it sounds like? Hang on, let me get your comments up so I can read this.
Still a step slow.
It sounds like they were going to make Superman's son the new Batman. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. It's very possible because they name him Jonathan Bruce Kent in memory of their friend Batman. So, one of the cool things you would have seen in Justice League 2 and 3 is that, friendship between Bruce, Lois, Clark, and the Justice League. So, I mean, some of those really campy shots where you see Batman acting all goofy, that's his invasion of Darkseid. Whenever you see the red skies, that's not supposed to be the ship. The ship scene
Don't you get?
is
That's just what I'm
very
talking
dark gray colors where they're fighting Steppenwolf, or I believe in the Justice League movie. They took the red skies from the second part of the movie and they added it, and it wasn't ready yet. Like, the CGI wasn't finished. That's why it looks so bad when Whedon used it, is because it was in development and it wasn't finished yet, because there was supposed to be like fire to the sky and all this other stuff because it's supposed to take place on Apokolips. And he just kind of... The scene where the Batmobile is racing away from stuff, that was supposed to be on Apokolips. There's just so many things that they edited from different movies that don't make sense. And you watch it back, and especially when you watch that panel from Snyder and you watch Whedon's movie, you're like, wait, that Fox thing was supposed to be in Justice League 2. Why is it in Justice League 1? Or Batman did this, and Batman's acting this way when he's not supposed to be this and that, you know. There was going to be more of a romance between Wonder Woman and Batman 2, which is part of the reason why he gets kind of crazy leading the rebellion, is because Wonder Woman dies on Apokolips. All that stuff never happened. I mean, I would have been all for the Wonder Bat stuff. I was a big fan of the Justice League pairing of Wonder Woman and Batman that they teased during the Timverse. Apparently Snyder was too. So there was going to be a lot more of that will they, won't they moments in his movie, which they really didn't do much in Whedon's cut. But you could see it there. Kryptonian Batman sounds awesome. Yeah, it could have been. Has it ever been confirmed or even a notion given that JL2 had filmed anything? Yes, it was confirmed. They did both movies back to back. They didn't finish Justice League 2. They filmed some of it.
Fighters approaching Brainiac's ship.
They hadn't finished the when the incident happened and he got let go. They were right in the process of starting like the VFX stuff for the lanterns. Because they only teased, like, one Green Lantern showing up in the past. They were going to have, like, lanterns actually meet Bruce. Kilowog and Hal Jordan. I don't remember which movie they were going to show up in. Either Justice League 2 or 3. But that was all planned out. The Martian Manhunter stuff was going to be in Justice League and Justice League Part 2. And, of course, he would be in Part 3. He was kind of... I guess he was going to be like the wise old man of the group, like the sage. Kind of think of him like Jaga from Thundercats. Like, Batman has the experience and he's like the field leader. Superman is the powerhouse. Wonder Woman is everything else. Aquaman is whatever Aquaman is. Cyborg is the tactician or the tech guy. Flash is the comedy relief. And then you had Martian Manhunter, who was supposed to be like Jaga, basically. And Batman didn't listen to Jaga in Justice League 2 and got everyone killed almost.
Cyborg wins.
That's the easiest way to explain what they were going to do with Martian Manhunter. He was like the old wise guy. Is the Snyder Cut going to be Justice League 1 and 2 or Justice League 1, 2? If they do the miniseries the way that the Snyder's wife wants to, I believe it is going to combine all three movies into one. It'll just be a little bit shorter. Like, they'll do putting together the Justice League, the attack on Apokolips, the backstory of Cyborg, whatever order they want to do, and the final chapter will be the death of Batman and the birth of Superman's son. If they're still going by how he's written everything out, that would be the best course of action, because then I don't think fans would still be wanting Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck to be Batman or Superman anymore, because their stories would have a clear ending. Batman would have a heroic sacrifice, Superman would have a family. There would be no more Darkseid in the universe. Brainiac could come into play, maybe if they wanted to do more miniseries stuff and introduce a new Batman or something. I don't know. I mean, I would say that there was no movies after Superman had his son and Batman died. That was the end of the saga. There was no continuation. That was how that DC world ended, and the next movie that they had planned after Justice League Part 3 was Flashpoint. So... I don't know. I don't know what they would do after that. And I know, based on all the information that's flooding around and the different forum sites and the different like Twitter posts and different bloggers, it doesn't sound like Zack is going to be doing his entire vision of the 5-part movies. He's going to be incorporating things from Justice League 1 and 2 and Nightmare. That's all anybody really knows. But all you need to know is that Ben Affleck is getting in great shape. Jason Momoa is getting back into Justice League shape. I don't know what Flash or Cyborg is doing, but Cyborg is very happy because people were very, very mean to the Cyborg actor, saying that his performance was very robotic. We didn't really feel for Cyborg. He just felt kind of like he was thrown into the movie. He had so much of his future as a DC star ripped away from him. Like, his origin was going to be in Justice League. And his spin-off movie was going to be because of all of his heroic things that he did in Justice League. It wasn't going to be Superman or Wonder Woman that delivered the killing blow. It was going to be Cyborg. Cyborg was going to be the hero of the Justice League Snyder version. And that was going to, give him a reason to become like this bigger force in the DC Cinematic Universe. Ray was robbed by Whedon. Big time. He became kind of like a sidekick character. Like, Flash and Cyborg are kind of like Teen Titans in Justice League. Like, the way that they appeared in the movie, they, digging up Superman and all the... It didn't quite feel like what it was supposed to be. Like, something felt off, He didn't feel like a real member of the Justice League. He just felt like tech support. He's lying there. He's like, I can't feel my feet, and they're both laughing. And Cyborg did do something important with the Mother Box cubes and stuff like that, but based on the Mother and Father Box technology, he was going to be the one to kill Steppenwolf. And the reason why Darkseid ends up coming in, Justice League Part 2. It would have been too easy for Superman or Wonder Woman or Aquaman to kill the guy. But Cyborg is the one to do it, I believe, in original drafts of the storyboard for the, Justice League. And that was going to be like, okay, so Cyborg became your big hero. Batman got redeemed, and he's becoming a little bit lighter. Lois and Clark are going to have a baby. Wonder Woman is not so depressed anymore. She has a new family. Cyborg not only has become like this robotic man, but also he is a hero in his own right. And Flash is... whatever. I don't know what they were going to do with Flash. But yeah, Cyborg was very bland in Justice League because most of his parts were ripped out. The audience didn't care for Cyborg because you didn't get to know him at all. You would have seen the horrific accident that caused him. You were going to be there when his awesome moments in the Gotham Rogues got him to, make it into the NFL. Then he goes to visit his dad and he gets blown up. His entire life is ripped away from him. Snyder's movie, you would have felt that. It's not an exaggeration. Instead of just seeing a guy sitting around in a hoodie complaining about life, you were actually going to see Cyborg very close to an R rating of what happened to him and how gripping and horrible it was that he was brought back as this robotic man. It would have been a great performance for Ray, but all that stuff got cut. Everything. There was nothing human about Cyborg at all. That's a shame. Yeah, I don't know what they were going to do with the Flash. The Flash was going to pay, according to Snyder and the convention or whatever, he was going to have a much bigger role as the movies went on. He was going to go back in time and try to prevent the Nightmare future from happening. The Injustice future with Dictator Superman. Exactly. You can't have character growth without starting at nothing. That's exactly right, Andrew. If Batman was going to die, what would have happened with Alfred? Alfred, I believe, everybody dies on Earth when Darkseid terraforms it. Only the heroes and like a handful of the Earth population survive. Gotham, Metropolis, everything's wiped out. Darkseid he's not cool that these heroes came to his planet, screwed with him, and then, he just wiped everybody out. So Alfred was going to die in one of the movies. It wasn't really a permadeath, though, because after the end of Justice League 2, you know that Barry goes back in time, and Justice League Part 3 starts around the time that they get to a do-over, essentially. But it's not really a do-over for all the characters, because Batman survived the horrific future. In the third movie, he was going to die a hero's death. There was still going to be sacrifice involved. Like, if you think about it, a lot of core Justice League members die in Snyder's Justice League 2, just like they died in Justice League Apocalypse. Like, Justice League Apocalypse ripped the story from Snyder and made it animated. That's why people are saying it's such a good movie, is because they love the story. The story is Snyder's Justice League Part 2. To the T. With exception to, they added the Teen Titans and stuff. There was going to be less heroes in Snyder's version, because the only heroes you would have met in Justice League would have been Martian Manhunter, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman. Am I missing somebody? Hey, hang on. Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, Aquaman. Wait. Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, that's 3. Flash would be 4. Superman would be 5. Cyborg would be 6. And Martian Manhunter is 7. So it would be 7. And the next movie was going to introduce more of the Green Lantern Corps. Green Lantern element. Which would have tied into the Green Lantern movie that they were working on. So, I mean, DC had a plan, they just got cold feet. Now that they're incorporating the DC Cinematic Universe unpaused, kind of, with this miniseries thing, it could go all over the place now. I don't know what they're going to do. They're probably going to incorporate some parts of Snyder's 5-part saga into this 6th-thing miniseries of, like, hour episodes or something like that? I don't know. All you need to know that Snyder has officially said, and his wife, is that they've been given $20 million by Warner Brothers and AT&T, and they are going to do some shoots with the principal actors again. They didn't mention names, but you can bet that Cavill's on board. Ray Fisher is on board. I don't know about Wonder Woman, but Jason Momoa is training to come back as Aquaman for Snyder. He's super excited. Ben Affleck's probably going to come back. He's getting into shape. He has no other movies coming out to get into superhero bod shape. And what's her name? Wonder Woman hasn't been doing much, so I'm sure she'd love to come back and finish that story. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what Gal Gadot or their team thinks about the Snyder thing, because a lot of them, they were kind of done with it. Like, they don't want any more team-up things. They're like, no more, The director of Wonder Woman was just asked about 4 weeks ago, would she ever do a Justice League movie, and she said no. She doesn't think that team movies work. What could be great about this, if this miniseries is successful, not only do you have a clear ending or a more satisfying conclusion that fans didn't get with Justice League, but it also allows Warner Brothers the freedom to recast these characters without any interference from the fans or, people worried about Pattinson. Can you imagine if this miniseries, basically closes every little tidbit of the Snyderverse that people have wanted, and that they're more accepting of Reeves' Batman, and it just becomes super successful because you get all the Snyder people on board with this next Batman because their Batman had a clear ending that was satisfying and showed that Ben was a fantastic Batman for the universe he was in. My gosh, that would be amazing. And it could happen. The only reason Ben Affleck left Batman is because the direction that he was going with his character was Snyder's vision. It was not Jeff Johns and Warner Brothers. He walked away from the Batman project because it's not the movie that he wrote. It's not the Batman he was playing. He knew the only reason he accepted the role is because Snyder told him day one, this is my story. 5 parts. This is what you do in this movie. This is what Batman does in this movie. This is what you could do in your solo movie. And then you come back to this movie, you do this, and then you end with this. Ben was blown away, and he had signed off on superhero movies after Deadpool. The entire saga is what made Ben say, I want to do this. It wasn't just, let's do an adaptation of Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. Ben knew the whole story. So did Momoa. Okay? That's why everybody was so psyched out of their mind to do it. They knew there were going to be bumps, but they knew that there was actually a course that was plotted. That's why they hung on. When Whedon and Warner Brothers got involved and started messing with the story to the point where it was not going to be that same tale, they bailed. Because it wasn't their Justice League anymore.
The Flash.
Does that make sense? I just got into Batman comics and I'm having trouble with the chronology. Can you help with that? Pre-52 I can. Oh, it was Daredevil, not Deadpool. Sorry. Daredevil. They both wear red, okay? You know where I was going. I'm gonna make mistakes. This is live, people. This is live.
I feel like Cyborg had the most cut, but Ben...
Ray Fisher said years ago that he had most of his parts cut. Like, all the cool stuff he did. He got in really good shape to play that football sequence that was going to blow people's minds. It was going to be one of the greatest football sequences, like, since The Dark Knight Rises. Like, he has his life destroyed. Right. That, he gets his life torn away from him. So what we would have seen, not just the football thing, he was reaching out to his dad to try to get his, like, after he finds out, hey, I'm going to the majors, Dad, or whatever football players say, goes to Store Labs, his dad could really care less because he's obsessed with this alien technology. Cyborg and his dad get in a fight, the mother box goes crazy, it explodes, Cyborg is brought back to life, but he's, like, mixed together with the thing. His entire life is ruined. And it was going to play out throughout the movie, like his emotions, how he's dealing with just being this monster. All of that was taken away from him, and he just became a guy in a hoodie, sulking in an apartment. No one cared. No one cared about Cyborg in the movie. I tried to. But it didn't, it didn't feel like Cyborg to me.
Batman wins.
It was like, that's not Cyborg.
Well, Ben... I knew Ben was going to be Batman.
But yeah, Ben knew. Ben, Cavill, everyone knew what the story of Justice League was supposed to be in the beginning. And it all changed when Whedon got on board. It would have been one thing if he just came in to finish the principal photography, but he changed the vision of the movie because that's what Warner Brothers wanted. Cut the time of the movie, threw out all the other parts, changed things, brought in the family, did some more Batman scenes, which I think Whedon could actually make a good Batman movie. Based on the intro where Batman takes on that parademon, that is very Batman animated series worthy of live action stuff. But at the same time, I think Matt Reeves can do better, like Batman opening, than what Whedon gave us. And the only reason Batman opened the movie is because he was so popular. Originally, the movie was supposed to open in not a very popular fashion. Justice League was supposed to be a massive war between Darkseid and, in the past, all these different entities, Lanterns and Amazons and all this stuff. wasn't Steppenwolf, and Darkseid didn't even really have an army. Darkseid was wrecking everybody, and it was just Darkseid there. That's what the epic... I mean, in that sequence for Justice League, they show Steppenwolf with this army of parademons. Darkseid didn't need an army of parademons. He's just Darkseid. He's wrecking everybody. Killing people left and right in the past. That would have been cool to see. I think Gal Gadot's gonna do it. She always said that she owes Zack, like, her, her Wonder Woman role. She's forever grateful. If she's forever grateful, she should finish the Snyder story. She did say release the Snyder Cut. And Ben Affleck also tweeted release the Snyder Cut like 3 months ago. All the actors except for Henry Cavill. But Henry Cavill showed up for the Man of Steel screening. Because everybody thought Henry and Zack were at odds. But Henry was just busy filming The Witcher. The Flash, we don't know what's going on with him. But the thing is, all of Flash's scenes from Justice League 1 and 2 were filmed. Like, all that nightmare sequence stuff, and also he died in one of the movies anyway. So, I mean, you could always potentially recast him for the miniseries and bring in a different Flash. I don't know. That gets tricky. But Mira didn't have a very big role in the Justice League movies, so she was supposed to show up in the third one as one of the heroes that, fights Darkseid's army. And in the Justice League movie, she talks to Aquaman. That was supposed to be a different sequence, though. And I believe there was supposed to be a sequence in Justice League 2 where she talks to him. But also, he dies in Justice League 2, so I don't know. It's just crazy. Maybe PG language, because I've heard some gnarly stuff in PG-13. Gnarly. Flash dies and everybody dies, pretty much. The only survivors in the future... Again, spoilers for the original Vision. The only survivors of Justice League 2 are Superman, Batman, Cyborg partially, like his torso and head, and Flash. But Flash gets post-traumatic stress disorder because he sees Martian Manhunter die, Lanterns die, Wonder Woman die, and Aquaman die when they invade Apocalypse. It was going to be, like, pretty horrific. Like, bordering on R-rated. That's why, Aquaman was going to be ripped in half, by Darkseid. Which, interestingly enough, Aquaman is ripped in half by, like, Doom Parademons and Apocalypse War, or whatever it's called, Justice League Apocalypse. So, I mean, But it doesn't matter anyway, because all the characters come back in the third movie anyway. The time travel. I was kind of surprised that they were going to do more of the Nightmare elements, though, because I didn't know how well the Nightmare stuff tested. Like, people were so confused when in BVS, Batman was having these horrific dreams. A lot of people were saying with their theories that, well, these are just, like, Batman's just having potential dreams of if Superman goes bad. It's like, no. When Flash was time traveling, he was showing echoes of the future to Bruce. And that was going to play a big role into Batman's paranoia in Justice League 1 and 2. And the reason why he stops going after Superman when Superman's brought back to life in the first Justice League movie is Batman realizes that Darkseid is the big threat. It's not Superman. Darkseid is the thing that we need to rally against, and it's his stupid idea to invade Apocalypse, and he pays for it. According to the, the original vision of Snyder's universe. Who was cast as Darkseid? I don't know. Oh, it's a big far cry from the magical, colorful Justice League movie we got. Off topic, but are you going to be playing MK11 Aftermath on this channel? Yes. Kwing, big fan of the channel and all your Bat news, and it's great. Did you hear about Ruby Rose leaving Batwoman? Yes, I know all about it. I don't want to really talk about it because it can get there's a lot of different reasons going on right now, and I can just address them real quick. Some of them are petty reasons, some of them might be because of an injury, and other of them might be because she is a film actress and doesn't want to be connected to... Okay, so I'll just go over the 3 real quick. Number 1, she had a back injury, apparently. I don't know if it's true or false. It might be true. Happened during Batwoman. She had surgery done. Because of the fear of the accident, she doesn't want to be Batwoman anymore. Or something like that. Because it may affect her career as an actress. Number 2. Batwoman's story was not supposed to involve Batman until much later. They cast Batman, Warren something, who is Thomas Elliott in disguise, and he is going to be a guest star throughout Season 2. So instead of the focus being very female empowerment, it was going to be shifting more toward the Bat family for ratings and teamwork, and instead of being like a starring role for Ruby, it would have been more kind of like a co-starring role between Batman stuff and Ruby Rose. And apparently the rumor was that Ruby didn't like the idea of sharing the screen with Batman because the show is called Batwoman. Now, this can't be confirmed or denied. It's just a rumor that's been circulating for months. And apparently talks broke down and she left. The other thing is, she is a film actress, quotation marks, and she hasn't been able to film any movies, and she feels that Batwoman is dragging her down, and she wants to get back into movies. So those are the 3 reasons. Also, the person that they're recasting Batwoman will be another LGBT actress, but it's also someone who can play ball with Batman being in the show going forward. Because, as I said, the only way that Batwoman could survive as a show is if they pulled the Supergirl and brought Batman into it. I originally said that he would show up in Season 3 or 4 if things got really dicey. But with an average of 650 to 630k viewers an episode, and the only episodes that showed a spike into the 700s, the past 2 episodes were Bruce Wayne Easter eggs and then Bruce Wayne himself. With a new actor cast, you're going to have Bruce Wayne in the show to get back into those million and up club, because there's people home for the pandemic. They weren't watching Batwoman because the show's not very good. So now that Batman's going to be in it as a co-starring or guest starring role going forward, and they're adapting the Bruce Wayne Wanted storyline where Hush takes over the identity of Bruce Wayne, causes some problems, and gets eventually defeated by the Bat family. There you go. So it's either here or there. Batman's going to be in it, yay. Whether or not he's going to suit up, we don't know. Probably not. Titans Batman didn't suit up. He just showed up. But interestingly enough, before the Zack Snyder announcement, in 2021, you were going to have 3 live-action Batmen at the same time in 3 different universes. In the movies, for Matt Reeves, in October, you were going to have Batwoman's Batman or Bruce Wayne show up in January of 2021. And then when Titans comes back in the summer of 2021, you were going to have Ian back. This has never happened in the future. In anything. This has never there's never been 3 live-action Batman working at the same time, airing at the same time in Batman history because of the Bat embargo. It has been impossible. And I don't like Christopher Nolan anymore because he made the Bat embargo worse. There were a lot of cool things that could have happened when the Nolan movies were going out, but it has come out that he is responsible for making the embargo worse because he didn't want any other version of Batman than Bale while he was doing his tenure. That included animation, that even included video games, believe it or not. TV, video games, movies. He played ball with animation and eventually video games, but there was a lot of cool Elseworld Batman stories that could have happened at the same time as Bale's Batman, but they thought it would create... Well, Nolan was concerned it was going to create viewer confusion, he called it. That the only Batman that should be in theaters is his. So the Bat embargo existed back during the Keaton days, but they were pretty lax. They allowed animated stuff, they allowed video games. They just didn't have a lot of live action stuff. Like Batman wasn't allowed to have a live action show if he was appearing in movies, but he was allowed animation. So Nolan went, after Batman Begins, he went crazy. That's one of the reasons why some of those shows got canceled before The Dark Knight released. That's why The Batman wrapped up. That's why Justice League Unlimited was kind of rushed to end before a certain time. And I don't know how in the world Batman Brave and the Bold managed to release. I believe it came out after The Dark Knight was in theaters. I think it was like October or November of 2008. I don't believe it premiered until after The Dark Knight finished its theater run. I'd have to look that up, though. But I know it was something weird. I know that. It was pretty weird. Also, a year later was when the Arkham game was allowed to release. So the Arkham game supposedly was supposed to come out in 2008. Didn't come out until 2009, which is a year after The Dark Knight. So it all plays into Nolan's paranoia about, making the bat embargo bigger, to extend all kinds of things, so people would get in their mind that Bale is Batman. Bale is the only Batman. I'm Batman! I am the only Bat! Worship me! I'm Batman, the only one that matters. And my Bat voice, forever. Oh my gosh. But it's just, yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Apparently Matt Reeves doesn't care. So, for the first time in history, so many artists are able to have multiple Batmen at once in different continuity. That's insane. I still can't believe this. Titans is coming back summer of 2021. Batman's returning. Oracle's going to be in it. Batwoman is having a Bruce Wayne character cast. May or may not appear, which would be very predictable, but Thomas Elliott is playing Bruce Wayne of that Earth. It's his face, his voice. That's happening in January 2021. And in October of 2021 is Robert Pattinson, and sometime in 2021 is Ben Affleck's return as Batman. That's 4 live-action Batmans at once. I'm going to have a heart attack. That's never been done in live action, ever. It's not been possible. We're going to see if this viewer confusion thing works, Nolan, because you got 4 Batmen. 1 year. 4. And that's not counting animated or video game. You got the new Batman video game potentially coming out in 2021 with a new actor. You've got more of Diedrich Bader in Harley Quinn Season 3 in 2021. That's 6 Batmen. And if Conroy comes back and does more animated movies, and if they do DC Rebirth movies, that's almost 7 Batmen in 1 year. That's insane. Never happened. Never. Not to my knowledge. The only thing I can remember is Batman Begins, you had 3 Batmen. In 2005, you had Justice League Unlimited. Kevin Conroy was still doing his thing. And Romano in the Batman show was still on the air until 2006. Or is it 2008? No, 08. 08 is when it... The Batman ended before The Dark Knight hit theaters. And then a little while after that is when Batman Brave and the Bold came out. November or December of 2008. So, the Batman cartoon ended before The Dark Knight came out. Which coincides with the conspiracy that Nolan made the Bat embargo worse. If you really think about it, if you're one of those conspiracy people, the Batman cartoon from 2004 wrapped up before The Dark Knight hit theaters. So the only Batman out was this one! I'm just saying. Weird, right?
After I win, to get pizza, loser buys a jitters.
I'm tired.
Begin.
Oh my gosh. I think after 2021 I'm tired of Batman though. I don't think I can cover all the Batman stuff coming out in 2021. It's too much. It's too much, guys. Oh my goodness. No medieval Batman movie. Stop. Stop it. Yeah, Nolan wanted one Batman to be his. I know. Change your name to Webhead? Why? I don't know much about Spider-Man. I'm a Batman guy. I'm tired. So, last year I planned on making a Snyder video in detail showing all the different points, you know, from all 5 movies. Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League Part 2, Justice League Part 3. But there have been other people on YouTube that went ahead and made videos anyway, like last year and this year. And I think they did a pretty good job. So if you want to check them out for like a more short synopsis of like all the points, they're out there. They're really good videos. I've watched some of them. I can't tell you the name of the YouTubers because I don't know. But I thought they did a fantastic job with their, you know, a new Batman game is next year too. You're going to be working hard, Luke. Quiet, Garrett. I'm going to be in a little bat box next year. Too much. I'm going to end up in Arkham. Too much Batman. Too much Batman. I can't. Maybe 2 or 3 Batman things, but this many? I can't do it. I'm only one person. It's too much. The game itself would keep me busy, but the movies, and if the movies are good, holy crap.
Wonder Woman.
If the movies are good, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. I make my living making fun of bad Batman stuff. With exception of Arkham. Arkham, you know, I'm an Arkham channel essentially, but for the most part, for the past couple of years, I've kind of become like a Batman antagonist. I've joined the Rogues Gallery because I've, most of the Batman stuff that's come out past 5 years hasn't been very good. So I've kind of become a villain. I don't think I know how to switch from a villain role to a hero anymore. Oh my gosh, how much content's gonna be on this channel? R.I.P. Subbox. R.I.P. Subbox in 2021. And the build up to 2021. This fall is gonna be busy. Oh my gosh. So do you feel like I explained it pretty well, or what do you guys say? So I'm kind of tapped out. I think I've explained everything. I don't even think I explained it as well as Zack did. Like, his panel was more energetic, and I probably missed some parts because... And feel free to add whatever I missed, because it's like... It was a 30-minute panel. It was one 30-minute panel, and then he did another panel years later. So you have to, like, watch both of them and dissect bits and pieces of it and then connect it to the other thing. Because, like me, he talks all over the place. He doesn't... It's not concise. It's there, it's all written out perfectly, but when he talks about it, he jumps all over the place because he's like, okay, so then in the future we got this going on. Then we go back to the past where this happens, and we gotta go from here to there.
Don't be so sure.
And it's all connected, but I don't remember all the... My wife knows it better, and then, you know, yeah. But I love the fact that he works with his wife, because I work with my wife, so... And we do superhero stuff, although on video game side, so... I think that Daisy Ridley should be Batgirl, because she have her own spotlight, and Karen already has her own spot. Yeah, but Karen wants to be Batgirl, and she wants to direct the movies. And I think Warner Brothers is listening because they like the Jumanji movies. In the Avengers movies, you didn't really get to see what that actress could do. Basically, the Jumanji films show how capable of a martial artist and an acrobat she is. So she has a lot of interest in doing a Batgirl movie. She also wants to direct it. And since Warner Brothers is all on their high horse about hiring female directors / actors, I would say that she's a sure bet if she still wants to do it a couple years from now. You know? I can't see Ridley as Batgirl. No, I can't. And Karen's also a redhead. We need a redhead. There are hardly any redheads in Hollywood. Are you playing the next Batman game blind? I always do. That's why the footage is terrible in the beginning.
We had to wait for the right time.
I spent
Yeah, no, I
years
Love
in that
Lucy
damn
wasn't a real
cell.
redhead.
Begin.
We need a real redhead. Kwing, may I have chronology for pre-52 Batman comics? I could do a brief synopsis of Batman's pre-52 history, I think. Let's try. Batman's parents are killed when he's 8 years old. Or is it 9? It's either 8 or 9. In his teens, he swears... No, on their grave, he swears revenge. Travels the world until he is about 20... I want to say 23. Returns to Gotham. Becomes Batman. Batman Year 1. Batman Year 2, he is mostly fighting crime bosses. Things like that. Some super criminals start to pop out of the woodwork by the Long Halloween. Dark Victory is Batman Year 3. Introduces Mr. Freeze and Robin. Not long after that, Batgirl's introduced in the pre-52. Right around Batman Year 4, Year 3.5, something like that. Two-Face, I believe, comes about in Year 2 as well. And Joker's, I think he's Year 3. Then you have a bunch of things that happen. He's Batman for probably about 10 years. Dick leaves. They have a falling out. He goes to the Titans. And then Batman's out on patrol as a solo person because he's ticked. Some kid tries to boost the tires off the Batmobile during his tenure. He's amused by it, takes the kid back to the Batmobile, takes him to the cave. Shortly after adopts him, makes him the second Robin, which really upsets Grayson. That's around Batman Year 10, 11. Jason Todd is only Robin for about 2.5 years, killed by the Joker. Tim Drake comes into the picture around Batman Year 13, 14. Says that Batman needs a Robin. Tim is only Robin for about a year and a half, chronology-wise, until Nightfall. And Bruce is gone as Batman for 10 months. After his back is broken by Bane. Batman Year 15 is technically over because Eugene Paul is Murder Bat, or Bat of the Future, whatever you want to call him. There was also a lot of different villains that pop up from Year 3 through 15, but I'm too tired to explain all that. Batman comes back about, we'll say, 10 or 11 months later, something like that. The events of No Man's Land is right around Batman Year 16. Batman Cataclysm, or wait, Cataclysm, or the big earthquake thing is his 16. Hush is supposed to be his 20. Son of Batman is supposed to be like Year 22 or Year 23. And then when he's killed by Darkseid, it's supposed to be 25. 25 years as Batman. And then New 52 happens not long after he comes back for Batman INC. There you go. That's more or less how it is. Was. Oh my gosh, I got people, like, promoting their videos. K-Wing, play more Arkham City. I will. K-Wing, WB apparently wanted a Kristen Stewart prototype to play Batgirl. Cool. How many Karen Batgirl movies would you do, and in what movie would you introduce as Oracle? I'd introduce Oracle in the third movie, and my second movie would be mostly Batgirl and Nightwing focused. Like, before I gave Nightwing his own movie, either I would have him show up as a cameo in one of Batgirl's movies to introduce the character, and, you know, I would just like the idea of having both characters pop in each other's movies to add that sense of, you know, continuity. Nothing too long, but just something kind of fun, you know. like they do in the comics, because Batgirl and Nightwing were always jumping in each other's books. It was cute. And in the New 52, they did that a lot. Sometimes it wasn't even connected to the story. They just kind of like happened to be in the area. They met up, they fought crime for a little bit, and they went their separate ways and continued whatever the book story was. I thought that was handled pretty well. Gal Simone was pretty good at that.
The Flash.
Yeah, I wouldn't have her become Oracle until the third movie. And I would probably make, like, maybe at the end of the second movie you do the Killing Joke. Like, everything's going well for her, and the movie ends with the Joker ringing the doorbell, or the doorbell being rung. You don't even need to see the Joker. You don't even need to cast him. You just hear, you know, somebody say, pizza delivery, or something, you know, and have Barbara be like, I'm going to get the door, and then they do that thing, like, in the movies where they go, like, bruh, and then they just end the movie, like, with, like, a noise, or, I don't know, whatever cinematic effects you use. And you can lead that into, you could even add a gunshot at the end if you wanted to. I don't know. That'd be a heck of a cliffhanger. Probably make people angry, though.
Begin.
People don't like the Killing Joke. Candygram! Yeah, there you go. I don't know, that panel. Yeah, that panel is crazy. Don't. Oh. Like I said, other YouTubers for the past couple years, they put together like well thought out drafts of everything that I said, and they added some cool footage and comic book stuff to it. I don't have time to do that. I'm mostly like a live streaming channel these days, so I have the same information as them, I just don't have the fancy effects. But more or less everybody says the same thing about what Snyder's thing was going to be. It gets pretty crazy. And the fact that pretty much Justice League Apocalypse is what Justice League Part 2 was supposed to be, I mean, you can pretty much understand what direction they were going. Instead of basically creating a Flashpoint, though, like they did in Justice League Apocalypse animated movie, Flash doesn't go back in time to, you know, create a Flashpoint. He goes back in time to try to warn his younger self. So he doesn't create, like, a Flashpoint yet. And also, he's warned that if he goes back in time, it could kill him, because time travel apparently has high stakes in Snyder's verse, which makes sense. I mean, you're going back in time to do stuff. It would make sense that the fabric of time would kill you eventually, I guess, tear you apart. It would have been interesting to see that. I don't know. I wanted to watch Flash get torn apart. Yes, so then Wally West could appear. No. I'm making my own Lego DC Universe. Very cool. Hey, Luke, rewatching Batman the Animated Series on Tiger episode. It's really weird. Tiger was done by that Martin guy who passed away. He did a lot of those really weird 1970s Batman adaptations, like Joker Fish and things like that. Oh, wait, no. I don't think he did Joker Fish, but he worked for DC Comics back then. He did See No Evil, the guy in the invisible suit, Tiger Burning Bright. He did the werewolf episode. I really thought he did some of the cool episodes like I Am the Night and stuff like that, but he didn't. He did all the weird ones. I mean, you had to have somebody write them. I still say one of the worst episodes of Batman the Animated Series is still more watchable than most of the CW shows today. Like, one of the Batman Animated Series episodes that just doesn't have that same magic is more entertaining than most superhero shows on TV today. So that's saying something, but I still don't, and I know a lot of fans don't like those weird animal episodes. What they were doing back then is they were trying to show that Batman could work in a mythology setting, because the plan was always to create a Justice League show, even back in the 90s. They didn't know how they were going to do it, but once Superman came into the picture, then they could really introduce the more of the DC mythology and stuff like that. And that's what they did. Over 10 years. Did I ever finish the wimpy playthrough of Batman Telltale? I don't know, I got bored with Telltale. Kwing, I missed Arkham Wednesday and Sunday Drive and Skeletor. Batman was just like 5-ish, 10. Are you talking about Keaton or something else? What would be your dream DCU? Only rule is that it has to be in phases like MCU. I would have wanted the stuff that Snyder had planned, except my difference would be when Flash goes back in time in Justice League 3, that it does change some of the elements of the DC Cinematic Universe, and some of the changes is that Nightwing is actually a hero and not dead. So when Batman dies in Justice League Part 3, they can actually have either Nightwing movies, or they can have Dick Grayson become Batman to honor his mentor. Because Jimmy Olsen and Dick Grayson were just killed because Zack Snyder hates sidekick characters. So he was basically a
What purpose does it serve?
a very evil man like Dan Didio. Like, Dan Didio didn't like sidekick characters, but, I mean, Zack just abruptly murdered them and didn't even give Dick a name. He didn't even honor... Well, actually, no, he was planning on having Bruce say who the dead Robin was, but Warner Brothers wouldn't let him. There was actually supposed to be a monologue when Bruce was looking at the suit of, you know, Robin. Yeah, you didn't even get half of Snyder's vision yet. You got 2 movies. You got BVS and Man of Steel.
Your technique is flawed.
He didn't pay attention to the comics. He didn't like Robin. His idea of Robin is Chris O'Donnell or Burt Ward Robin. He didn't really grow up with the animated series. Zack didn't. Ben Affleck knew about the animated series, and Jeff Johns and all those other people, but Zack was the kind of guy who was familiar with, like, the Justice League show when Dwayne McDuffie was doing stuff. That's why there was a lot of Justice League cinematic, like, stuff that was more akin to throwbacks of that show, where the League is standing, like, with this red sky all triumphant and stuff. That was from the opening of the Justice League TV show. There was going to be... Zack is really good at Easter eggs. And, like, making people who are sitting in their seats like, oh, I know what this is from, you know, and none of that made it in the movie. So, but he doesn't like Robin. Just like Christopher Nolan doesn't like Robin. Matt Reeves does not hate Robin, but he wants to take it a step further and introduce a kid Robin. And people are kind of like, why? Because you can't do the Dark Victory without Robin, because it's all about him. The Tony Zuko thing is huge. You can't do it. Matt Reeves is doing a trilogy based on the Long Halloween saga. And Robin comes into play in the second book. Big time. So, you know, it's nice to have a director that actually doesn't mind including Robin, but how he does it is probably going to be pretty different. But who knows? But yeah, Snyder doesn't like Chris O'Donnell Robin. Thinks that if Batman has a Robin, it holds him back or something like that. So he doesn't completely understand the mythology of Batman and Robin. He doesn't get it. Just fine, whatever. I don't care. I care, yes I care. What year is Matt Reeves' Batman? 2021.
It's over, Diana.
If you had to make an Arkham movie based on the video games, who would you cast and what would it be about? Ben Affleck would be my Batman. Yoshi or Zac Efron would be my Nightwing. Tim Drake would be Ryan Potter, the guy who plays Beast Boy in Titans. I would have Grant, who plays the Flash. I'd have him be Riddler. And I would have William Dafoe be the Joker, probably, or Mark Hamill. I don't know what the movie would be about, though. Probably do something... It'd be very Arkham... Yeah, it'd be very Arkham-centered. The Arkham story. Batman gets trapped in the asylum. I mean, personally, I would just take Ben Affleck's script that he did for the Arkham story and just use that, because it was going to be kind of like a horror movie. But a horror movie that I actually would have liked to watch because it had Batman in it. Batman was going to be trapped in Arkham. It was going to be a very low-budget movie that had an amazing script, and Warner Brothers said, we're not going the direction BVS went. So you're gonna have to rewrite this movie. And poor Ben tried to rewrite. They brought in a new writer. He tried to be patient with Warner Brothers, and he bowed out. I would too, because I'd be frustrated. Because everybody, Kevin Smith said it was a fantastic script. Jeff Johns loved the script. Warner Brothers hated it because it was Snyder's Batman and not Warner Brothers Batman. That's what people are saying. And I believe him. Because how depressed he was. I mean, he started drinking again and doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, he was crushed. I'd be crushed too because, I mean, he gave superheroes a shot again and all this other stuff. Oh well.
Wonder Woman
I like the
wins.
guy that's going to be Riddler in the Batman. Yeah, we're going to talk more about the Batman show, guys. Just not tonight. Tonight was just telling you everything I knew about the original, even if people are just coming in. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2021 discussion and original vision. I talked about the original vision. I charted out all 5 movies in this hour and a half stream. Right now I'm just kind of winding down. I got pretty intense describing 5 movies that never were. Well, 3 movies that never were. Because Whedon's Justice League is not Snyder's Justice League. You guys are going to be really surprised. If they even keep a fraction of what that original stuff was, my gosh. Oh, it's going to be so cool. Because not a lot of people know about that. I am angry that when I saw Justice League Apocalypse and I basically saw that they ripped the entire story from Justice League 2 from Snyder, I didn't know what to think. Snyder still hasn't watched Justice League Apocalypse. Somebody tweeted out to him. I want to know his reaction after he watches it. I'd probably be mad. Maybe it's a good idea if he doesn't. People need to stop tweeting it out.
Winning a few too. Those were for charity, Clark.
Begin.
Because right now Snyder and Warner Brothers are playing nice. We want them to continue playing nice. He'll probably be pretty ticked. No, Rocksteady made Arkham games. WB Games just published them. Rocksteady made the Arkham games. WB Games Montreal made Arkham Origins. What do you think the Birds of Prey movie would be about if it was actually them, and who would you include in the movie? There would have been a cameo of Affleck in Birds of Prey. I probably would have had Cassandra Cain be Batgirl in it. And I would basically take all of Snyder's stuff if it didn't exist anymore, but we were still able to use Ben, or it was another universe or whatever. I would have had Oracle in it. And I would have had Cassandra be the person in training, because what they could have done...
Flash wins.
This is just spitballing, okay? What they could have done with the... since technically the Suicide Squad and BVS are in the same universe, you can argue that the next movie, Birds of Prey, isn't really. It's kind of its own thing.
Cyborg.
But in Justice League Part 2, in Snyder's vision, when the Justice League leaves Earth to go to Apokolips, you could explain Batman's absence because of that. Like, Batman could show up at the beginning of the movie, and then if people ask where he is,
Fortress of Solitude.
he and the Justice League have gone off-world to literally invade Apokolips. That could all be connected. Pretty easily. That it wouldn't... A trained chimp could do that.
You should know to back down.
And I like to think I'm smarter than a chimp, so I should be able to connect that to that movie, to have that little Batman Easter egg tie into people, you know, talking about Justice League Part 2. Wouldn't have been hard. That's easy.
Yield if you wish to live.
I don't know. I mean, you're free to watch the Harley Quinn movie if you want. So, it's meh. Yeah, Black Canary was introduced, so Black Canary would have been in Justice League Part 3.
Want a job done? Ask a woman.
She was. Black Canary was in Birds of Prey, sort of. She was a decent character in it. No, Black Canary and Huntress were in them, but it was the wrong cast. Like, they had Huntress, which is like a Latino role, usually, or like Italian. They had like a white girl do it, and then they had a, they did a race swap for Black Canary. Not to say that the actress didn't do a good job as Black Canary, but they just race swapped all over the place. No, she was, well, no, she was kind of blonde in the movie. A little bit.
Wonder Woman wins.
She had some cool action sequences.
But she didn't.
No, Patterson doesn't understand what it is to, Yeah, Huntress wasn't a good fit in the movie. I don't want to watch Birds of Prey. I love Black Canary and Huntress, and I know they're barely in the movie and their costumes suck. Yep, there you go. That's Garrett. Garrett just summed it up perfectly.
Batman.
What would a Nightwing movie be about? Deathstroke.
Fighters
I would do
approaching
Deathstroke or
Fortress of
Court of Owls.
Solitude.
It feels like, no offense, but it feels like the Birds of Prey movie was a movie about a bunch of girls that
Please end this, Victor.
Amber, you're actually doing pretty decent. Like, your gameplay is getting better,
Begin.
I think. From what I could tell. I mean, you had 400 people, 500 people watching you. She only used her Canary cry once. Yep. Well, Captain Beastwing or Robin would have to be age appropriate in Matt Reeves' movie, considering like his parents' death happens when he's a kid. So I mean, if they're going, and it sounds like they're actually doing a pretty close. From things I've heard about the movie, it sounds very similar to The Long Halloween. There's going to be a lot of murder mystery stuff. It's going to be very dark, very bordering an R rating. Batman is going to be very ruthless, which I figured they were going to do like that, you know, kind of like Keaton-style Batman again that actually scares people. Although Ben Affleck's Batman did scare people, he was a jump scare Batman. He wasn't just like, I'm hiding in the shadows, I'm going to, you know, take you out. He was a Batman that was very reckless, and that's something that you would have seen in Snyder's movies, like Batman to try to be more like.
What happened to Clark?
It felt like he was a warrior. How Ben explained it,
Begin.
Batman is like a warrior that's looking for a good death, and in Justice League Part 3, he gets a good death. In Justice League Part 2 and stuff, he doesn't get a good death. He has a lot of regrets. He's killed by Superman in the future. You know, Barry goes back in time, all that other stuff. He actually has a satisfying conclusion. One that the actor could have been very proud of. And if they do the miniseries justice, Ben will get that. And people will be talking about his performance as Batman for a very long time, but they will also be open to the idea of Robert Pattinson and other Batman actors. But right now, people can't let go of what happened with Justice League because there's so many possibilities of what could have been. Now, there's a way to silence all the inner nerds and all the DC fans and all the Batman fans around the world that wanted to see Affleck's story come to an end in a satisfying way, and I think Zack is going to do that. All we need, which we don't know, is if Ben is on board or not. Because the only people on board right now for reshoots are Cavill, apparently, Jason Momoa, and Cyborg. That still leaves Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, and Flash. Just get stunt doubles for the rest. No. If they don't do the additional footage, then you won't have a mini-series. You'll just have the 4-hour thing that they have footage for 2 movies. Which you could probably do something with it. I mean, fine, I will tell you what I'm thinking. Worst case scenario, here we go. You guys asked for this. Alright.
we asked for it, Luke. Lay it on
Worst case scenario. The actors don't come back, except for some new scenes with Aquaman,
Cyborg.
maybe being ripped in half, if Jason agrees to it, and some other things.
Cyborg.
DC is still talking about Flashpoint rebooting this DC cinematic universe. I hate saying this. What if the miniseries
Superman.
does not have a good ending?
Fighters approaching.
What if... I'm sorry. What if Justice League 2 is the ending? Where Batman's error in judgment
All right, this is
kills
training
a majority of the league,
gen is always
turns
better.
Superman evil,
Is that so?
and he dies at the end with Flash going back in time, which does not send Flash back to the past, but rather creates Flashpoint to be continued in theaters sometime. That's the DC Cinematic Universe, Snyder. Oops. That is the worst case scenario, okay? If the actors don't get on board. If Ben Affleck, who's getting in great shape, superhero shape for whatever reason, if Ben comes back, if Godot comes back, then they can finish
Don't make me hurt you.
what they started when they signed up for the roles. Because Darkseid was not going to be a actor. It was going to be cool-looking CGI. He was going to be this big, towering character, much bigger and scarier than we got with Steppenwolf. No, they're not going to get the guy who plays Thanos. I never knew who they were going to cast. Martian Manhunter was going to be CGI. Green Lantern suits were not going to be CGI. It was a costume. In fact, everybody who said that costume that was supposed to be Nightwing's, we were all right. It was a Green Lantern costume. Everybody saying years ago, oh look, the costume that's next to all these other superhero costumes in Zack Snyder's workshop, that has to be Nightwing's. Nope. Turns out it was a Green Lantern. It was a lantern costume.
Ready to quit yet?
So the Green Lantern suit wasn't going to be CGI, it was going to be a costume. So that's cool. But that's the worst case scenario because why... I can't see Warner Brothers as a hero. So my thing is, yes, I see some Warner executives sitting there like, oh, we'll give them the Snyder Cut. We will give them what they want. But it will not be the full story. For we are only going to allow Zack to finish Justice League 1 and 2. And that's it. And then we get to recast everyone. Ha 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 ha.
Superman.
We're Warner Brothers. See?
Fighters approaching
That's,
Fortress of
in the back of my
Solitude.
mind, that is a more likely case than the cool miniseries that actually gets the ending where Batman dies heroically, and Superman and Lois have a son. Superman does not become evil, and the DC cinematic universe is filled with hope and possibilities of the future. And the other one is all the footage Zack has leads to a very unsatisfying ending where the heroes fail. And Batman dies at the hands of Superman, not at the hands of Darkseid. Superman is lost, Earth is destroyed, and Barry creates Flashpoint. That could be a possibility too. A much bigger one than the pipe dream of them actually doing the miniseries, combining all the elements of the two movies that Zack never got to do. Or he never got to do any photography on Justice League Part 3.
Speedy recovery.
Only did photography on Justice League and part of Justice League Part 2. Mostly the Nightmare stuff. All the Nightmare stuff is filmed. Supposedly. I'm sorry for bringing it out there, but that's just... I've worked with Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers game companies for 10-something years, and unfortunately, I've kind of seen that type of mentality of
No more Mr. Boy Scout.
they kind of give you what you want, and then they pull the rug out from under you. When I found out years ago that they were doing the Killing Joke animated movie before it was officially announced, I was sworn to secrecy, and I was super excited, and I was happy to learn that Mark and Kevin were on board. When they asked me to hype up the movie and I saw the movie before it came out, I was livid. Because it was not what they said it was going to be. And that kind of hurt my relationship with WB Animation. Because I was... And then the final nail in the coffin with WB Animation came Batman Bad Blood. That was it. That was when Kwing went off. And I got in that huge fight with that DC All Access host on Twitter.
I don't much like bullets.
Oh.
Darkseid's will is to be obeyed.
Oh my gosh. I said more in DMs and so did he. It got nasty. Well, he triggered me first and then I went after him in DMs. Batman Bad Blood was terrible. Your rants were legendary, Kwing. Thank you. But it came at a cost. I have never received any early screenings from Warner Brothers animated movies since Batman Bad Blood. It was horrible. At least I think Bad Blood was Killing Joke before or after Bad Blood, because I got both of those as early screenings. I got both of those. And then that was it. And then Warner Brothers Animation was like, nope, blacklist. You never say your opinion. You're a talking head. You do what they tell you. You're a hype man. I didn't want to be a hype man. I just wanted to tell people what I thought about the movie, good or bad.
Superman wins.
I have no regrets. I had some really good memes that came out of my Batwoman or Batman Bad Blood review. Out of the way, Rodimus! It was timed so perfectly. It was! It was so perfect!
She was in the way.
It was perfect!
Batman wouldn't have gotten hurt if Batman if he didn't have to worry about Batwoman. Like, it was like bring your daughter to work day.
Based on the stuff that I've heard, about the Pattinson movie, do I think it'll be good? Probably. I don't know if it'll be the best Batman movie, but you know me, I like Batman that hides in the shadows and scares people. I loved Keaton Batman, the guy who was walking around in mist and mystery, and Ben Affleck Batman was like, I'm gonna kick your butt in open, and I'm looking for a way to die because I have nothing left. I'm a broken man. And literally, he takes shots to the face in the warehouse. Batman doesn't do that. He doesn't sit there like, hit me. Affleck gets shot in the head twice in that fight.
Fighters approaching Gotham City.
You know? He takes shots. He gets stabbed. He's a warrior looking to die, according to, Zack's original vision for the character, and the reason why, Affleck was so interested. It was kind of like a modern-day samurai. Like a samurai without a purpose. Very compelling stuff. So the fact that he was going to die in the final Justice League movie, that was a satisfying ending for Ben's character. That's the Batman he wanted to show the world. Yeah, the love story between Wonder Woman and Batman would have been interesting too. Oh, you're just coming in here? Snyder's Batman wanted to die? Yeah. Yep. He had nothing left. And also, the only reason that he basically cleans himself up and goes after Superman is because he sees Superman as a threat to humanity. Before then, Batman is just kind of, doesn't have a purpose anymore. Robin's dead. All his friends are dead. And then the Man of Steel incident happens. Like, Batman had been retired for years. Like, if you go back and you listen to a lot of the clues they give you, he might have retired after Robin died. You don't know. But he was, like, living his best life as Bruce Wayne, and then the Man of Steel war happened, and he lost all his people in Metropolis.
Batman
Like,
wins.
he owned half of Metropolis, just like Lex owned the other half. You know, all his people got wiped out. So his whole purpose for living after that incident was to kill Superman. He probably thought he would die fighting Superman, but if he took Superman out, he'd be a hero instead of the killer he became. It's very poetic. Stupid, but poetic. I don't like it. I like when in the Injustice universe Batman's the hero, not the villain. So Snyder was gonna switch the two icons. Like, Superman is kind of seen as a villainous role in Batman's eyes in Batman v
Fighters
Superman and Man of
approaching
Steel.
Gotham City.
And then Superman would then mirror opposite Batman, and to Superman, Batman becomes the villain because his actions on Apokolips led to the death of the Justice League, the death of his wife, his unborn child, Earth,
To save millions.
and Superman hates Batman.
Example for Supergirl.
And he's just trying to rule over what's left of Earth. Because Earth is... Wait, where's Zelda? Uh-oh. Yeah, Amber, she's meowing. She's stuck in a room. I'll continue. Oh, I hope she didn't make a mess. I didn't know she was stuck in a room. I've been talking for 2 hours. Please, kitty, no. Everything okay? She was still in the birthday bag? She was done with my birthday bag.
Batman wins.
You had enough time. And
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what else to say, guys. I'm kind of, like, spent. I mean, I think I've literally covered everything I can, but I don't know. Part of me is just concerned that the part of the story that we're going to see in this, like, mini-series or 4-hour movie is you're going to get the Snyder Cut, but it's probably not going to be the awesome 5-part movie franchise you were promised. It'll be, like, not rushed, but it will be, like, bits and pieces of some of the stuff that he has. Like, you'll probably get most of the Nightmare stuff, which is awesome. The Nightmare stuff has got some cool stuff. You'll see the actor who played Deathstroke, because he was going to be in the future. Like, Batman's ragtag group of mercenaries consisted of heroes and villains that survived basically Superman and Darkseid's reign of Earth. So Deathstroke was still around. He's just doesn't really look like Deathstroke. He's kind of like Cyborg Deathstroke. Still looks cool, but you can't tell it's that one actor because he looks like a robot.
You never quit.
But his suit was leaked a while ago, along with more of, you get to see Flash's future suit,
Begin.
and the fact that they were bringing back Ben Affleck's Batman armor suit that when he fought Superman, that kryptonite suit.
There's no peace in revenge.
But I'm just a pessimist, guys. I guess that's one of the joys of working with a Batman character on YouTube for so long is Batman's not a super bright, happy character.
Give up.
So
Get hurt.
I can't just be like, oh, I'm being given this delicious cake. I'm thinking, I'm getting the cake. What are you taking away from it? Like, what? It looks delicious. I'm excited, but did you remove the strawberry filling? Are you not going to put ice cream on it? Is it like sugary cake or is it like cracker cake? Yeah, like you bake a cake and you forget the sugar. I think that Snyder is going to give us like a Zowie of a film or miniseries, but now that I mentioned it, I'm just concerned that it's going to lead into Flashpoint. Like, we're not going to get that satisfying ending for Batman. Like, it... No, it won't be a cheap rush version. I think that because Justice League 1 and 2 were solid. And they filmed some of 2. They filmed all of 1. And they got the Darkseid stuff. And they need to do the the visual effects for Darkseid. They need to get an actor for Darkseid. and they have most of the Future's End elements, or, you know, Nightmare World, or whatever you want to call it. They have all that stuff. They just don't have, I believe, the Invasion of Apocalypse. They don't have all of that. They don't have the death of the Leaguers, and they don't have any of the cool stuff that was supposed to be in Justice League Part 3, like the Green Lantern stuff, or they have a suit for Green Lanterns that they've shown without the lantern symbol on it. But they don't have, as far as I know, they never cast anybody. They did film some of Justice League 2. The Nightmare Sequence stuff is mostly Justice League 2. There's some Nightmare Sequence stuff in the original Justice League movie that was in BVS.
You're going back to
They
prison.
filmed for a long time.
I'm restoring my government.
I won't let that happen.
Begin.
They never got to film the third part. And I don't think they ever will, personally. So, yeah, the more I'm thinking about it, I think it makes sense that you get Justice League and Justice League 1 and 2, and instead of Flash being able to go back in the past to warn his younger self, he ends up accidentally creating Flashpoint, because whenever Flash runs back in time, it's never good. Things always change. They don't really stay the same, so DC could be like, they could look at it like, we released the Snyder Cut, we gave a really awesome movie that fans wanted, and we cleared the board. See, that to me makes me think this is the reason why the executives are on board now, because Zack agreed to clear the board. Just hypothetically speaking, like just from like trying to have a mindset of like an executive or somebody who didn't really like Snyder's vision and just wants to get back to business, but the fans won't shut up about Release the Snyder Cut on every DC project or Warner Brothers project we release, even Scooby-Doo. So, if in 2021 we can sort of silence the fans and clear the board of any hope of another Snyder Justice League related thing, as a DC executive, I would do whatever I could to make that happen. I would give Zack whatever he needed to finish his story and clear the board. And shut up the fan base. That's what I would do.
Wonder Woman.
Because I'm mean.
The Flash. The Flash.
I feel like that's what they're doing, to be honest. What Lantern was in the film? Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart. Along with OA people. And they weren't in just one film, they were in multiple films. The big person that they were revealing for Justice League, though, when Batman says, "I've been expecting you," is Martian Manhunter, not Green Lantern.
The regime was a mistake.
When the cut scene where Alfred is in Justice League and he says, "He's been expecting you, they've already left," Batman has already deduced the identity of Martian Manhunter. And John shows up in the Batcave with a green glow around him because he was shapeshift. So when Martian Manhunter changes colors, or, you know, when he changes shapes or whatever, sometimes he glows green or something like that. I don't know. A lot of people thought it was Green Lantern, but Green Lanterns show up at the end of Justice League, but it's Kilowog and someone else talking to Bruce about the threat of Darkseid. Which makes Batman super paranoid, and then in Justice League Part 2, he's like, "Hey guys, we beat Steppenwolf, no problem, so let's go take out the guy in charge, Darkseid. What could possibly go wrong?" What could possibly go wrong? Yeah.
Your technique is flawed.
So no, the green tint in the original footage that they were teasing with Unite the Seven was Martian Manhunter. They had an actor to play him. They were going to CGI him, but not like really bad CGI. And the actor was already pretty on board with playing the character, or at least voicing him, because he already appeared in a couple movies as a cameo as a general in the U.S. Army. I think he even showed up in Man of Steel, actually. I don't know.
Quiet enough for you?
I know he's in Justice League, and I know he's in Suicide Squad. So. Injustice was going to be a film. There's a fandom for everything, data reader. Yes, there is. There's fandoms for everything. But if Warner Brothers is listening, please just let the full story play out as a miniseries, because you will make boku bucks. Give the fans their 6 episode miniseries of Justice League 1 and 2, and then let Snyder in a couple years do Justice League Part 3, the finale, the way that he intended, and the board will be cleared satisfyingly, and DC fans will be all on board for the new DC films. I guarantee it. I feel like the fan base would be slightly divided if the movie ends with something horrible, like all the Leaguers getting killed and Barry running back in time, because immediately people are going to say, Zack Snyder just ripped off Justice League Apocalypse when he's the one who wrote the story first. Like, Justice League Apocalypse stole his script to make their movie. So, you know.
Green Lantern.
And they did. I mean, it's almost like a shot-by-shot analysis of his story. The only difference is Superman is the one leading the suicide mission to Apocalypse and not Batman. But, I mean, aside from in the Justice League animated movie, Batman got stuck to the Mobius chair and became Darkseid's spawn, like Minion. And in the Snyder movie, Superman is brainwashed and becomes Darkseid's minion and takes over Earth or something. So, it's similar, but a little different.
Your style's played out, Hal. I like to think I'm first.
But Snyder did it first. He has, I mean, I'm pretty sure he has everything copyrighted too. Like when he actually wrote the story, because he wrote the story back when he was planning out Man of Steel. He had all 5 movies written out, or charted, or storyboarded, or whatever. It was all connected. Hello, Zelda. I don't see how you could do Nightfall. I mean, you guys, you have to understand that. I was not wrong when I told you guys that Jim Gordon was dead. All of Batman's allies were dead in Snyder's version. It was supposed to be a broken Batman. It was all part of his character. Like, he was destroyed. He came back to try to kill Superman because he thought that he could save humanity from the threat of, you know, if there's just a 1% chance that Superman could turn evil, like his nightmares, then he was going to take Superman off the board. That was going to be his last thing he did. But then Whedon and Warner Brothers was like, well, we want potential spin-offs of Nightwing and Batman, and we need Commissioner Gordon, and this guy would be great as Commissioner Gordon. So they resurrected a bunch of characters that were already dead. I'm surprised, honestly, that Jimmy Olsen didn't show up and be like, I know I got shot in the face, but hey, I'm really Jimmy Olsen. I'm the real Jim. I'm surprised they didn't do that. I really am. Yeah. Wait, how many dislikes does this video have? I only see 4. Is there like hundreds of dislikes?
Green Lantern wins.
Nightwing, did you see Harley and Ivy? Yes, I did. I'm a pro Kite Man and Ivy though. I like that pairing more. The Harley and Ivy thing feels kind of forced, and it's kind of like they're cheating. Because Ivy's supposed to be getting married to Kite Man. So that goes back to something I said in an earlier stream where they're using someone else so that they can have happiness or mimic happiness. That's wrong. Ivy, even in that episode, said she really, really loves Kite Man and is planning a future with him, and then she kisses Harley. So, I mean,
Superman.
it doesn't seem right. If it'd be one thing if Kite Man and Ivy were broken up, or they were on a break or something, but they're getting married soon, so that's cheating, and it's wrong. So there needs to be consequences to that. You can't use people just so you can do whatever you want with your life. That makes you selfish. So it's very cruel to the person. It's very harmful. You know? Who dislikes someone? You are trash. Warner Brother dislike. Executives that entered the chat. Luke, did you hear about Batman meeting Elmo? Is that really true? You think Kite Man's gonna become the main villain at the end of the series? I mean, that would be enough to make him go crazy. He was already starting to drink because he didn't think Ivy was gonna return his feelings when he proposed to her. He even said, I'm not going to propose to you again because I know the answer, and I'm totally cool with it. And then he gave her a chance because she said, yes, I will marry you, I love you. And he was like, his whole world just like, light bulb. Like, he sees his whole life with her. So if she rips his heart out, yeah, he could become like the most dangerous villain of the show. Be interesting if he kills Harley. I don't think that'll happen. I'm pretty sure that they're going to just find some way of ruining Kite Man, but I don't know what they're going to do. I like Kite Man. I've never really liked Kite Man, though. They've made him really interesting. And I can actually see Kite Man working in a cinematic DC universe, actually. Like, I think he'd be a very compelling character. He has a very tragic story. He's a very comedic character. He can be. Can also be a very dark character. So, I mean, you know. At least Harley Quinn show gave us that, so that's kind of cool. And you know Joker's going to come back and mess with Harley, so. To be honest, I feel like Harley Quinn series is ruining Harley's character. Reasons why she's single and she just kissed Ivy. And what fans loved about Harley is her loyalty to the Joker. I don't know if necessarily... I mean, she's been away from the Joker in the comics for decades. She hasn't really been Joker's sidekick in a long time. Harley's come on her own. She doesn't really need the Joker. Like, the Joker's not a good guy to girls. I really think that maybe Punchline is going to end up killing Joker because she, you know, Harley is the type of girl that she's still kind of girly girl and she can get her feelings hurt. I think Punchline would just slit Joker's throat, you know, randomly. It's the Joker doesn't have healthy relationships. He had a healthy relationship with Harley in White Knight, sort of. But I mean, they're not a good romance pairing. And Harley has been trying to get out of Joker's shadow for like 20-something years, 30 years almost. I don't know who Harley would be a good fit with, but it's definitely not Joker. But I think fans are going to be upset when Harley starts to fall in love with, okay, I just had a dark thought. What if Harley's responsible for Joker coming back? Like, what if she's trying to figure out her feelings for Ivy, and then she starts using Joker as a human, a normal Joker, like cured Joker, to get back at Ivy and make her jealous, and because of her messing with Joker, because of all the terrible things he did to her in the past, and this is like a new person, it causes the old Joker to come back because of the cruelty he suffered from Harley. That would be messed up. I could see that happening. I could either see Kite Man being used by Ivy and being hurt by it and becoming the villain, or Harley getting back at Joker and using a human version of himself to, you know, make sense of the things he did to her, which creates an even worse version of Joker.
Can't we settle this with a race?
Why, Barry? Too chicken to fight?
Nobody.
Because, I mean, they're already showing that Joker is actually in the guy's subconscious because he's laughing at certain things randomly. I mean, he's not a very... If he were to really fall in love with Harley and she uses him, my God. That's predictable, though. That's the thing. Like, that's not even good writing. That's too predictable.
Told you I was fast.
Yeah, but I don't know. Even though I've been talking about this Justice League thing, I'm still pretty excited. But I mean, if I'm just playing devil's advocate, guys, I really think that the ladder is you're gonna get Justice League 1 and 2 as a miniseries, the Snyder version, and somehow it's gonna lead into Flashpoint, which will wipe the board for DC Cinematic Universe to do whatever they want. It won't interfere with the Batman movie. It won't interfere with the next phase of DC films. It will please Snyder fans more or less. It will get people talking and the possibility of doing more cool exclusive superhero stuff on HBO Max. That's what this is all about. This is about showing Hollywood that you don't have to have a movie, a big blockbuster film, like potentially $1 billion movie premiere in theaters anymore. Theaters is old technology. You can make a groundbreaking film for a streaming service. That's what this is all about. That's my reasoning behind this, too. That's also why I think Warner Brothers said yes to this. They said yes to it because of the potential of how much money they're going to make with all these people signing up to HBO Max. They're going to get a commission from that because they own HBO. And they're also showcasing brand new technology. That's just marketing 101. Am I K-Wing? Am I K-Wing? Ain't these K-Wings in my eyes telling you? I don't know what that is. Well, writers these days, I wouldn't put it past them to do something that predictable. Yeah. Maybe Scarecrow will come back in the Harley Quinn cartoon. Okay, I know how to fix all the dead characters in the Harley Quinn show. You guys will probably hate it, but it's pretty simple. All you have to do is somehow get the Justice League out of the book, and then Flash goes back in time to before the events where they got tricked inside the book. And then Harley Quinn would not become Dictator Quinn. You would not have, like, basically, not Elseworlds, like, No Man's Land, DC Universe, or DC Gotham, No Man's Land Gotham story. None of that stuff ever would have happened. You probably still would have had the Kite Man Ivy thing, but it probably wouldn't have gone to the same extent. And that way there would be a possibility for a third season where you could have a Harley and Ivy pairing, because the Kite Man and Ivy relationship came thanks to society being destroyed. So if Harley and Ivy shippers wanted that to happen, then Flash or any hero that has time travel abilities could reset everything and all the characters could come back for a third season, because the way that they're doing this, there's not really going to leave a lot of characters left for a third season. They just keep killing everybody off. Bane, Penguin, Scarecrow. I think Riddler's still alive, but you know they're going to kill Joker off probably this year. I've lost track of all the other ones that are dead. The only way you can really fix it is time travel. And that's probably one of the key reasons why the Justice League is not out, because Zatanna or Flash or somebody, even Superman could do it. Superman could fly around the Earth and set things. They made him super powerful in the show. That's why it's funny that they got tricked by a storybook and trapped inside of it. That's kind of hilarious. You can't use the Lazarus Pit on the Scarecrow. In order for the Lazarus Pit to work, your body has to be somewhat intact. Scarecrow's head was blown off with acid. Bane was burned alive. Penguin had his head cut off, I believe. I don't remember. In order for the Lazarus Pit can't reassemble limbs. It can mend organs, but the only reason why Nightwing was able to come back to life in the animated movie Justice League Apocalypse is because he was stabbed through the heart. His body was still intact. So, you know, it's easier to bring him back. When Ra's al Ghul gets stabbed by Batman through the liver or the heart or whatever and gets dragged into the Lazarus Pit, he comes back. If Batman would just lop his head off, probably Ra's isn't coming back. No more Demon's Head, because you need a head to be the Demon's Head. Oh my gosh, this is just getting crazy. I think we need to stop.
I'm hard to kill.
Oh my gosh. Why are they killing so many villains? Because I think they only have 2 seasons. I don't think there's going to be a 3rd season. They can't, because there's really no villains left. After this season, there's not going to be anybody left. Even Freeze is dead. I mean, you could potentially bring Nora back as, like, Mrs. Freeze, because she's alive, and wants revenge at Harley for killing Mr. Freeze. I don't know. I don't know what they would do for Season 3. How do you think Superman or Wonder Woman game would go, and which company do you think would be a perfect fit? Superman perfect fit would be Rocksteady.
Green Lantern.
I wasn't kidding about Elmo and Batman, it's real. This stream is even darker than the DC Universe, and on that note...
Superman.
Well, I mean, Harley Quinn is an R-rated show. What do you want from me, people? This is what happens when Kwing watches R-rated things. This is why it's bad.
Fighters approaching Atlantis.
Oh, Red Hood and Harley Quinn, that'd be interesting. Wasn't there a comic where Raish was killed, cremated, and then blasted off into space and then came back? I think so, but I thought they brought his body back through cloning. I don't remember. I mean, Raish has made clones of himself before. Lazarus Pit is very confusing. Yeah, I mean, it looks like Bane's dead. Nora would have a cool arc that is reversed from her husband, which is something we haven't seen before. No, we've seen a killer Mr. Freeze with no reasoning behind it. He's not trying to protect his wife. He's just insane. That's the New 52, where Mr. Freeze was obsessed with a woman that was in carbonite, essentially, from the 50s, that he fell in love with, and he never knew her, but he obsessed over her. That was stupid. And he was a jewel thief. The Mrs. Freeze thing could work in the Harley Quinn show because she literally hates Ivy and Harley because they're responsible for Mr. Freeze dying. And the reason he died is so he could bring his wife back to life. That was his whole purpose in life. And he felt like it was fulfilled, so he was fine with dying. But Nora wasn't fine with him dying because he cured her and now she's alone. Like, I mean, that's enough to drive her crazy. I could see Nora Freeze crashing Harley and Kite Man's wedding. I mean, sorry, Ivy and Kite Man. That could be a possibility. I don't know. I mean, you have to understand that the Harley Quinn plot is so predictable that a 5-year-old could write it. I mean, they're just, every week they're just killing a character. I mean, it's not hard. It's really not hard to write a show for that. I mean, it's hard for me to call these people writers. They're just, I don't know, it's fan fiction. Fan fiction's not hard. It's so predictable. If they make Mrs. Freeze a villain and crash Kite Man and Ivy's wedding, that's simple. Joker becoming Joker again because of Harley messing with him to get back at him when he was the Joker, even though he isn't. That's also simple writing. It's not hard. And these are the type of people that they hire to write comic books now. It's pretty sad.
Batman. Green Lantern. Fighters approaching Gotham City.
Kwing, Kwing, how do you make a Superman game? I don't make it like Superman 64. Mic drop. I don't know how I would make a Superman game. I'm getting tired, guys.
Your attitude's still intact.
I can't make Batwoman better, I'm sorry. The only way I can make Batwoman better is if she leaves. The only way I can make Batwoman better is if I make Batman a co-starring recurring role and make a lot of promotion for when he appears in the show so that I can get people to actually watch the show. There was a lot of hype surrounding the last 2 episodes of Batwoman, and that's the only reason it got over 700,000 views. The demo was down into the 6 and 500K range because nobody cared. People are talking about Hush constantly now, and they're talking about Batman. Nobody cares about Batwoman even being recast anymore. All they care about is Batman's going to be in the CW. That's everything that's happening. In reality, they should cancel Batwoman, and they should just do a Dark Knight show, or like Bat Family show, or name it something, so that you can have Luke Fox have a better role instead of plucky sidekick, goofy sidekick. I'm still angry what they did to Luke Fox. I don't like what they did to him.
Batman wins.
Luke Fox is a genius who's bullied by an angry lesbian.
Whose father builds him this amazing suit. He's like
Constantly.
He's like a role model. He's a really nice guy, and he's super smart, and he's a very moral.
Well, I mean, you can't call the show Gotham because they already did that. I don't know what you would call it.
Luke Fox has so many amazing great qualities, and yet a very angsty lady who wants to
Would you say that Gotham is better than Batwoman? Yeah, I would. It's hard for me to say, but I would say that. Alright, guys. I think we've exhausted everything about Justice League Snyder's Cut. Amber did a fantastic job playing. Everybody give her a round of applause. She was your gameplay tonight while I basically you guys picked my brain. I'm very hopeful for 2021. You guys are going to have a ton of content on this channel. Too much. 4 live-action Batman in 1 year. On Batwoman, on Titans, on HBOMAX, and in the movies. Potential Batman game release in 2021. Maybe more Harley Quinn Season 3. Or a new Batman cartoon. Who knows? It's too much Batman. I think I'm going to retire in 2021. I'm going to be driven batty. I can't do it. I can't do it! It's too much! Ugh. I could just focus so many videos right now on the Snyder Cut, like, for, like, the next, like, 6 months to a year. Just based on all the information that keeps coming out, or all their ideas that they had, and the mindset of the actors, and, oh, if I didn't have a Let's Play channel, that's what I'd be doing. I'd just be pumping out so much Batman videos right now. That's what everybody else is gonna do, probably. I can't, though. I have a Let's Play channel. That's my bread and butter. This is probably going to get demonetized because I badmouthed WB. That tends to happen. Whenever I talk negative about DC properties, I get demonetized.
Some of the other characters, like Arrows, I was trying to play as the characters that were part of
Yeah, Amber was actually playing as characters from Justice League, from Snyder stuff. So you saw Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. Amber did great. Everybody give her a round of applause. She did fantastic. I'm very proud of her. You have a Patreon? Yes, I do. Hey, Coda. How you doing, buddy? Amber, I hope you had fun behind the scenes. Amber's really good. Why does Amber no longer really post on her channel? Because her channel is not really monetized anymore. What? Oh, I thought I was going to be yelled at. I said something good? Just the reason why we don't do our mature channel anymore. It's not monetized. Like, we got we got in too much trouble for all the mature stuff we had on there. There's too many flags for demonetization that it's gone. It still exists.
a channel with lots of pink hearts and Kirby on it and very cutesy games on it gets completely demonetized because it looks like I'm seeking out children to destroy.
Also, guys and gals, I'm just, for the 300 of you guys watching, I'm just going to say this so that it is canon. And so, Amber does have a channel. It's called Kwing's Let's Plays. Amber is over on that channel.
Thank you. I do have a channel. That is my channel.
She also streams on Twitch. She streams on Kwing's Let's Plays on Twitch. Kwing's Let's Plays is both of us. Nightwing 01 is whoever. Like, Nightwing 01 is Batman, but Amber she had a huge role in the Arkham games. She was in pretty much every series that I think of.
And I helped build the Nightwing's release because at the very beginning I was on behind the scenes, behind all your reviews, helping
Yep.
you.
That's true. And if Amber didn't proofread all those scripts, I mean, those retro reviews would have sounded terrible.
I've always been behind the scenes.
Yep. WB are monsters. I don't know. I doubt an executive is going to flag this video, but I said some pretty interesting things about WB animation, all this other stuff. I mean, I don't think I'm going to get DMCA'd or anything like that, but probably not going to get any monetization, which is fine. I mean, I really wanted to tell you guys what was going on, and I did get some super chats, I think. Let's see. Yes, I got some super chats. Thank you guys so much. That goes directly into the channel, so we're fine. We picked up 2 members tonight, Oliver and Brady. Yo, thank you guys. I didn't even know that. Man, I'm slow. I don't get Streamlab alerts for my own one channel, so I don't know. Anyway, guys, that's the stream. Just to recap real quick, I talked about Zack Snyder's original vision of Justice League, 1 through 3. Talked a little bit about their rumored idea, or rumored thing for Justice League, the miniseries on HBOMAX, or a 4-hour movie. How they're probably going to use footage from Justice League 1 and 2. There'll be some Nightmare stuff, which if you guys like the Nightmare stuff, or the Injustice world, whatever you want to call it, gonna be some cool stuff like that. Snyder's wife wants to do a miniseries because they feel that it's the perfect time to do that, and it would just work better, like episodic-wise, because they wanted to do episodic stuff for their Saga, which they never got to do. And Zack wants to change up his original vision because people know his original story. Well, he said diehard fans know his original story. Just regular moviegoers and DC fans who aren't crazy like Kwing probably don't know the story. Except the 500 people that watch this video live, they know the story now. Oops. So Zack wants to tweak things according to a recent interview he had. So it's all good, people. 2021 is going to be amazing. I'm spent. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for hanging out. Gotham City Racer stream will be on Friday. I'm going to put up that stream thing again. So you can, if you want to come back and watch that train wreck of a live stream. The game's bad. Please don't come back. Stay for the podcast. Do not come back for that game. You'll see me cry because or probably break a PlayStation controller. I've tried to play it. It's abysmal. It's so bad. I don't like it. I love Pokewood and other people for sponsoring live streams, but I really don't like the game. I don't want to play it. I don't want to. I quit. I don't want to do it live. It's going to make me rage. Oh. Make me rage so hard. All right. Night, people. Thanks so much for listening to this, and thanks again, Amber, for providing the epic gameplay. Good night, people. Thanks so much. So much to look forward to for Batman fans, and stay tuned for pretty cool announcement later this month that I can't tell you what it is yet, but I think you'll like it. All right. Bye, people.